Good. This should fix it. And plus, don't ever share your YouTube page publicly. Thanks for the note, whoever sent that. Okay. Here we are. We're back. So frustrating. So beyond frustrating. So frustrating. I'm just very grateful to the person who sent a note. 2 streams in one day. You're fucking funny. You're funny. All right. We'll get this back up. We'll get more than 7 people in here. Don't share your YouTube personal page accidentally on stream. I don't know why I fucking hate YouTube sometimes, and I hate OBS, and it just sucks. What can I say? There's very little to be done here. Frustrating times, to say the least. Just super frustrating. But we'll get into this again. I'll start back over. Don't worry. We're going to be in a fine place. We're going to be in a fine, fine place. So frustrated. It's been a long day, guys. Okay? It's been fucking a long day. It is what it is. And there's only so much I can do about it. That's how it works. That's how it works. And I'm trying my best. And I'm terrible at this. And that's how it goes. And it's doing the thing again. Is it the lack of brightness? What is keeping the focus in a different place? This is fucking frustrating as shit. What do you guys expect? I'm terrible at my job. Yeah, that's much better light in general. All right. I will have to fuck with this all night tonight. It doesn't matter. And for Lone, I did get the super chat at the beginning. Oh, my Lord. And Globehead, you sent me a goat trophy. You're just very kind. I didn't know that was a thing. I got a goat trophy. I'm assuming because I am terrible. Man, that is a slow focus. I'm going to fix it right now. Sorry, it's going to bother me if I don't. Okay. Focus, motherfucker. This is the problem. I have too much shit that I don't know what I'm doing with, and I made it worse. Doesn't matter. We're not talking here to see me. No one wants to see my ugly fucking mug, so that shit doesn't even matter at all. It doesn't matter. What matters is that Lone Pantalones at the end of the last stream before I killed it, actually right as I killed the fucking thing, sent a lovely note. And on top of that, I got a goat. So we're going to do a moment of our friend Jang. Let's do it.
May the British convinced that you just have to keep the European powers divided. Of course, 120 years ago, this came into a more cohesive theory in terms of Mackinder. But But in the 19th century, the British were fighting.
Do you like, I like this, the setup that they're doing. Professor Zhang, academic. A real professor is having him on. Do you see that? A real professor is having him on? Like, what the fuck is going on? A real professor is having him on and calling him professor. Can you imagine how horrifying that is? Like, as an existence? Fuck. That's probably why I'm moving out of the center. Yeah, that's probably why. I think I've got center focus turned on. We'll find out. We'll be adjusting minor things throughout this as we go. What can I say? Zhang.
Russia as a potential hegemon of Eurasia, and in the 20th century, the American security strategists also referred to the heartland theory.
I don't want to hear
There
him
is
talk.
no objective reality that exists outside of you. Well, there's a lot of
This
evidence.
is what I wanted. I think this is what everyone wants. There is
There is no objective reality that exists outside of you. Well, there's a lot of evidence that there's a higher force beyond us. So the spirit world does exist. Again, I can't prove it exists, but there's a lot of evidence to suggest it does exist. So now the question then is, if our current model of reality
That's the stuff. That's like warm blanket of Zhang. That's the stuff right there. Right? That's the stuff.
doesn't really work, what is another possibility? And in this class, I'm not trying to tell you what is true, but I'm just trying to present to you new possibilities. So what I'm going to do now is I will present to you a new possibility of how reality is structured. So to begin, let's talk about Kant. Immanuel Kant was the greatest philosopher who ever lived, the most influential philosopher who ever lived, because he introduced the idea.
I won't argue that he's probably one of the most, maybe the most. Kant was incredibly powerful. Like, so how are you going to fuck up Kant? Because my money is he's never read Kant. What he's read is either Ayn Rand's take on Kant, which I'm betting actually that's probably my top of my list. But the other possibility is that he read the Wikipedia page and is just going to make things up. Those are the two possibilities.
That we are not observers of reality, we are participants in reality. So let me explain what he means. For Kant, there's a noumena. The noumena just means reality that is outside of us, the things in themselves. What he tells us is we can never know the noumena. We can never know this reality. Why? Because whenever we see reality, we filter it using time and space. Time and space do not exist outside of us. They are part of us. We use time and space in order to interpret reality in a way that allows us to make sense of it. So the noumena
is very difficult because it's wrong in ways that are right. Oh, this is fucking weird. We filter it through time and space is, I would argue, to use Kantian term, a categorical error because it's about the faculties. That's a fascinating way to put it.
Time and space becomes the phenomena. And that's all we see, the phenomena,
Yes,
the things that are to me, not the noumena, the things in themselves. And so we imagine reality, we hallucinate reality. But of course, this creates three problems. Okay, the first problem is, what is the noumena? The second problem is, why do we have these filters, time and space? The third problem is, how can we guarantee that what I see is the same as what you see? Because if reality is a subjective experience, then in theory, everyone should see it differently, but we all see it the same. So why is that? What this is telling us,
no one sees the same reality because what? Oh my God. Oh my God.
No objective reality that exists outside of you. When the experimenter opens the box, the wave function collapses for him, but does not collapse for the observer and for anyone else.
Oh, I don't think I was expecting a left turn into quantum mechanics. That's fantastic. I mean, did anyone expect that next sentence? Because I fucking didn't. I fucking really fucking didn't. That's amazing.
We have to open the box ourselves in order to see if the cat is alive or dead. We have to participate in the reality ourselves. And what this is saying is that everyone lives in his or her own reality. Everyone has a unique universe onto himself or herself. And that's what quantum mechanics teaches us.
Wow. So, I got a comment on my video that I wasn't really responding to Jang, and I'm going to continue to not really respond to Jang. I'm going to enjoy eating my peaches and get to some Kurzgesagte. So, Kurzgesagt's video today. Because I should probably start over. Because the other video is never going back out because of things. Okay. Kurzgesagt's gotten a lot of shit. And I want to actually have a different conversation about what they do and how they do it in a way that's productive. If we have a conversation with people and we have a conversation, we say, hey, I want to talk to you about how you're wrong. And you give reasons why they're wrong. But you stay within a singular framework, maybe even the framework they're sharing. What you end up doing is you end up actually bolstering the framework, not doing anything to break anything apart. A framework is what defines how we understand the world. And if you're not breaking out of that, if you're not critiquing that or having that conversation and pointing out fundamental mistakes that people are making, but instead saying, oh, it's this incentive structure. He's getting money from Bill Gates, therefore he's doing this. Cool. Is anything in the video wrong though? Those are not mutually exclusive things. He can be getting money from Bill Gates and, by the way, also be completely right in everything he's saying. Elon Musk and Joe Rogan have the ability to be correct about things. Them saying something doesn't mean that it's a lie. The way that the world works is not built on who's saying what. It's the understanding that the logical framework or the systems that people are working within are what define their outcomes or define as they get to these points. So, Kurzgesagt is interesting today. To me, I find it interesting. Biggest reason I find Kurzgesagt interesting today is because their main brunt of work that they're doing today is to talk about, and I'll say it in maybe a way that's not great. They show themselves to be liberals, and not just liberals, but also maybe of a certain class. So we're going to watch this video. We're going to make our way through it. I have a bunch of shit written down that I want to go over because this got posted into the QC earlier. And I basically just sent a whole bunch of different things. I started working on like finding a bunch of articles, not to prove things in the video wrong. There's not really a thing in the video that's wrong per se. And that's, again, not the mentality to go at these things with. Instead, the conversation needs to be, and fundamentally always should be, what can we do about this? For those of you who don't know, Kurzgesagt, in a nutshell, is a wonderful channel if you have children. And I mean this. They're phenomenal. My kid adores it. I adore it. I think they do a lot of really good work. Primarily, their good work is focused on what I would call hard science. As soon as they're doing stuff beyond that, it's a little tougher. So, as an example, I mean, their videos on all these things. They have a playlist my son loves. He learned about the immune system straight up through all of this. And very particularly, the reason that the immune system playlists are interesting, the guy behind Kurzgesagt always, like, that was his background, and he always wanted to really teach people how the immune system works because we have a fundamental misunderstanding about it. And he's right. How I learned the immune system works is not actually how it functions or as we understand it. It's 40 or 50 or 60-year-old ideas of things, or even actually older than that we've way learned since then. So things like the way the immune system operates, giant viruses, how you're immune against every disease, which you kind of are, and they're not overstating that. It's really fascinating. He put out a book that is a genuinely good educational book for kids. And I will say this a million times. I think it's fantastic for anyone under the age of like 15 or so. It's great. Once in a while, they do a video like this.
Germany will soon crash into the consequences of a fertility crisis made much worse by the mismanagement of the boomer generation.
So, the video is called Germany is Over. And it goes over what I would say is something that is absolutely a real problem. And I'll state it up front, and we'll talk about sort of the critique. The real problem is that old people right now, specifically this older generation of people who are anywhere between 65 to just older, the way they built and managed this economy after it was sort of handed to them by their parents, and as they mismanaged it, and as they selfishly became more and more psychotically conservative and fiscally conservative, this is global, by the way, as they began moving into more ascetic policies, especially in the 80s and then the 90s, and then that's all they've done over and over and over. What we've gotten to is a place where there are fewer young people, because that's the way it works, a lot of old people, and social welfare systems that are completely fucking upside down because they've always been built on this idea of X number of workers filtering in for everyone who's older. This is a really interesting conversation because it's important and it's a thing that's happening. Right now, you can have this conversation about most developed countries. Japan, America, Canada, social safety nets have been built and were built on everyone working and paying into a system, and people who can't take care of themselves being taken care of by that system, especially older people, so they don't have to eat cat food. That's a specific story I'm bringing up because I'm going to be leaning heavily on Upton Sinclair and a lot of the other writings of the time when this started changing. Because what used to happen is we used to just let old people die. You would work until you died, or you'd die at work. And if you decided to stop working, you just starved to death. And we didn't care. We didn't have homes. We didn't give a fuck. People would die in their apartments all the time. We didn't give a shit. Off they go, off they go, off they go, off they go. This framing up front that is happening, and it's literally within the first 10 seconds, saying that this is about decades of boomer mismanagement is the reframing of an entire problem and a framework that we need to understand, because everyone who's going to watch this, and I've gone through the comments, I watched comments inside of the QC, I have seen 0 people have the right response to this video again, and that's okay. You don't know what the right response is, I guess. Most people are like, oh, we just need to, like, and I know there are more jokes when people are jesting, but it's like, oh, we need wars. We need to thin out the herd. There's this. Why do we take care of old people? These are all the wrong conversations. These are all wrong. Is my camera skipping frames? Ooh, it looks like it's freezing up. Let me find out. That's not in OBS though. That's happening. It looks like YouTube. Weird. Let me see if that helps at all. Is that going to hitch? It's going to hitch again, isn't it? It's hitching. I hate everything. As nothing's ever going to work right. And this is just the way it works. Okay. Can we just do that? Can we just agree this is just going to be the way it works today? And I can just fucking forget about it. Let me turn buffering on maybe. No, it doesn't care. I hate everything. I hate the internet. I hate technology. I want to go live in a cave. If the audio's fine, I don't care. The question is, and it's being presented here, hey, we have a problem, and it's because of mismanagement. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not because of mismanagement. Period. It's not mismanagement. And by the way, it has nothing to do with there being more old people than young people. Not the problem. It's the entire feed. Wonderful. Thanks, YouTube. Wants me to drop the bit rate. That's weird. I don't think I'll do that today. Thank you very much. The choice of mismanagement is the thing I want to focus on here, because this makes it seem as if, one, it's a mistake, and two, it's about the interpersonal bureaucracy of everything, as if a budgeting error, or they didn't understand what was coming. And I'm not saying they did understand that this was coming. That's not the deal that's at the fundamental part of this. The way that we need to reconsider this is kind of the whole point. Okay? How did I want to phrase this? 1 second. We have converted, Kurzgesagt has converted a class problem into a problem that is generational before you even have a chance to understand your analytical guard needs to be put up. This is what we call framework deployment. I call this framework deployment. That's the thing that's happening here fundamentally. There is a framework being deployed by them and by him that is specifically making very particular commentary across all of this. August is much closer to that. Much closer. Much closer to the right setup. This is, by the way, the real conversation to be having. You're much closer. The way that we talk about it as a 67-year-old who paid into Germany's system for 40 years, this is what they're going to talk about, lives on a outstanding setup of $1,800 a month gross. This is what they're talking about. We'll let them play for a second, then we'll get to my critique.
The demographic collapse tearing up the generational contract may soon destroy one of Germany's greatest achievements, its welfare state. Millennials, Gen Z and younger are left with a huge mess they somehow need to sort while they're outvoted by the grey bloc making the decisions for them. What happened?
It's a very well done video, though.
Population collapse. Germany was among the first countries to industrialize, and so its fertility rates dropped early in the 20th century. But for 55 years, they've been below replacement at 1.4 children per woman in 2025.
This assumes, and this is the framing of the rest of the video, that what matters to, let's talk about the American version of this is the same problem. Social Security, as early developed, was about a worker paying in and a worker getting paid out. That question presumes still that it's about a worker getting paid in and a worker getting paid out. However, what a worker is a fungible, abstract thing that kind of stretches and fits whatever we need it to. A worker from 60, 70 years ago had a productivity 3%, 4%, 5%. I have numbers in this we'll get to, but productivity is insanely higher than it was in the 70s. The work being done now by almost every single person who is in the working group eclipses the fuck out of everyone else. It's insane. Yet somehow wages have stagnated. Yet somehow there's more money in the overall economy. Yet somehow there's more profit being made by all these companies. By the way, Germany too. When you have a conversation and you talk about it starting at, oh, there are fewer workers paying in, the question should start not from the place of workers. It's not about workers. The first question should be, hey, there's actually less money going in and less money coming out, but we have more money overall. This would be the conversation to start. But when you start with this and you start from worker to worker, you end up moving in a position where you're not actually talking about what matters. There is no law that exists in Germany or America, by the way, that sets up that these systems are about one worker being paid out so another worker can get paid out. It's percentages of wages by person. And that wage percentage has changed and dropped so drastically that despite there being higher productivity, despite there being more profits, despite these countries having, even Germany, by the way, which has one of the worst equality indexes in Europe, despite its reputation, that which I was surprised to learn, that thing that's happening fundamentally means that you're starting a conversation where the person is what needs to be fixed, not the system, because the money is where you could start it. And they don't. The framework is fundamentally flawed. Fundamentally flawed.
Compared to South Korea, this sounds almost amazing, but it still means population collapse. If fertility stays at 1.4, then 100 Germans will have 70 kids. When those grow up, they'll have 49 kids, who'll then have 34 kids, who'll have 24. A 76% drop within 4 generations. Many people think there are too many humans anyway, so what's the big deal?
And then you immediately move to the misanthropy. And you touch into that. The idea again, well, there's too many people, there's this, there's that. The idea that this is, again, a person problem feeds fascism so instantly in its coding, it's hard to even start as a conversation.
Well, at the same time, people started living much, much longer. So we have a fatal mix of way more grannies and way fewer babies.
But we also have people who are making more money than God every single fucking day. We have people who are making more money, economies, making more money per day than the entire economy was for a year back when these laws were enacted. So that's weird. That's weird.
The real crisis German millennials, Gen Z and younger will have to live through is the massive shift in population composition and the transition period. In 2026, Germany is already one of the oldest countries in the world, with a median age of over 45. Almost 2 in 5 Germans are over 50, almost 1 in 4 is older than 65. Only 1 in 8 is a child under 14. Despite its industrial production declining, suffocating bureaucracy, and little economic growth, Germany's system is still chugging along and it remains one of the richest countries. The country still has a big population and a big workforce.
Here is how statistics fucks you. It's like this is such a fucking study, because I don't believe Kurzgesagt is like an active fucking Nazi fascist. They're not like Tucker Carlson, who actively hates Muslims or brown people. They're not that. They are techno lib. Like they're techno fascists. And that's a thing they've really made clear, I think, in a lot of videos. They have a scientism that's built into sort of how they think and how they talk about this, right? That specific thing that they're phrasing. When we talk about the shift in these demographics, and he shows this, he's like, hey, these countries are more prosperous. They're really not in that way. That the way that these things are set up and the way that we're talking about it, it's naturalizing a really odd sort of political economic fact about who can afford children. Because I can tell you right now, I have 2 kids. Okay. Heather and I have 2 wonderful kids, and we weren't sure if we wanted kids. I was child free until about, my mid 30s, basically. I was just like not going to do it. I know a lot of people who would like to and simply can't, because I have 2 of them. It sucks. Money. We're not doing great on money. Money is so tight and tough. The idea right now, Dottie's getting older. I want to get another puppy so that way we can have 2 and Dottie can help me train the dog. That's not a thing that's feasible financially for us. That's how weird this fucked up situation is when you have this conversation. Hey, you can, 1 second. I'm being interrupted rudely. 1 moment. Sorry, everyone. All right, back we go. It's Heather says hello, by the way. But the thing that's sort of happening at the center of this is that conversation almost exactly. The idea of people want to have kids. Why aren't they? There's no conversation to be had there. There's no, hey, why aren't people having kids? It's presumed because the data shows that people are having fewer kids. But that idea, that hypothesis of, oh, it's because as people have a lot of kids when they're very poor, and because it's a survival thing. This is, by the way, not me saying it. This is the scientism bullshit sort of biology drive. And then, people who have, once you get into a society where, you have other things, you don't want to have as many kids. People have fewer. There's a load of bullshit in there, because what we've seen is that number, well, it balanced for a while during times of equality, especially during the growth of, the boomer generation, who hit the most financially egalitarian time, especially amongst white suburbans. They had a lot of kids because they could. That the lie is that they don't know why people aren't having kids, because they're too stupid to go, hey, can we ask them? Because people don't have the ability to afford them. That's it. That's just it. Like, it's insane. No one has money. Never saw a person who didn't have kids for this reason in my life. Who didn't have kids for money. I know people who literally have decided not to have children until they're financially stable. Unless you mean something else, Brun. Oh, as in, like, there's a belief also amongst these people that I find to be extremely classist, that poor people have a lot of kids because they're just stupid and they're too stupid to use protection. I've heard people say that. Like, it's childish and terrible. It's childish and terrible to even go down that road. I find it gross.
Along with generous social benefits and pension payouts. But soon, the reality of demographics and boomer mismanagement will hit Germany like a freight train.
Really? Not the reality of the extremely lax tax system, in the way that in Germany even, and by the way, in most countries, wealth has been transferred out of people who work and out of the state and into private hands at extraordinary numbers. It's not that money has moved out of circulating in a way that allows those people to be in power. You're just going to say, oh, it's because there's just fewer of them. That's why it's gross. That's why it's gross. You're going to hear me getting really upset at this video, by the way. I'm very sorry about that, in case I end up saying words.
Population crash means that a society and culture loses more than just people. The systems and countries we've built can't just be downscaled. Things stop working.
Yeah, when you have less money because it's being siphoned out of the economy and put into the hands of a handful, yes, it fucks you. But we can also blame that on the hoi polloi, which, by the way, is a word I want people to start using again, because it's just the right kind of sarcastic and arrogant that I think it works nicely. The hoi polloi they just need to learn to be better.
Young Germans are screwed. Old ones too. By 2036, 13 million German baby boomers will retire. This big bulge here. But because they didn't have nearly enough kids, way fewer younger people will replace them. In 2030 alone, there might be millions of jobs that will be impossible to fill. Fewer people working means fewer taxes and resources for the state. Also, services will decline, waiting times will increase for everything from your bags at the airport to doctor's appointments. But the much more urgent issue is retirees.
No mention, by the way, at all, of any of this. It's such a fucking, the presupposition is over the line. They just didn't have nearly enough kids. They should have fucked more and had more children and worked on that. Also, by the way, there are billionaires who aren't putting any money into the system at all. who literally would take one or two of those people, if you just sort of taxed them at like 90% wealth, that would fix all of this. But no, we can't have that conversation. Don't you dare.
Germany has a pay-as-you-go pension system, which means that about 20% of today's salaries is directly paid out to pensioners. This sort of worked in the 1960s when there were 5 working Germans for every retiree. But in 2024, this ratio is down to about 2.5. In the 20th
The phrasing is fascinating, and it's a thing that, because I want to talk about the language used here.
issue is retirees. Germany has a pay-as-you-go pension system, which means that about 20% of today's salaries is directly paid out to pensioners.
The phrasing through this, and a thing I noticed a lot, and I think I'm seeing it now that I feel like I'm going to see it more and more, is talking about these things as if they're physics or the immune system or hard science, right? Like, as if these things were a law of nature. Today's workers pay today's pensioners. Therefore, worker to pensioner ratio is the deal. If it falls, we get fucked. But this is rhetorical, because again, it's putting this one-to-one, this to this, apples to oranges, not related things that aren't part of the same system. And it's saying that thing, that accounting identity and process of accounting is the iron law of this system. But that's not how this works. Specifically to talk about Germany, which is a little bit different than our system, not hugely, but pretty much. The funding of it is general tax revenue as well. So from what I could find, the way that Germany's set up, 2025 federal budget there, and I'm not going to pronounce any of the German stuff, they pulled in like $121.25 billion. And then in 2026, they've got 1.27 billion. The way that they've got this sort of set up is actually a complex series of a handful of these, and they're really hilarious German words. Kinder, sie Hungerszeiten, which I'm assuming is a Nazi term. I couldn't parse any of this shit. It doesn't matter. But the whole point is that these aren't contributions. The language of it makes it seem like Social Security, for example, is more of a contribution pensionary system here in the States. You put X amount of dollars in, and at some point you get paid out. And it is very much that money goes in and it sets up, and they've got a handful of other places, but it's a little bit closer to that. But again, these are funded through taxes. Tax revenue can be put into any of these things. We can increase tax revenue in various ways. So can Germany at any point. To talk about these things like it's a closed system separate. And then at the same time, and this is the death move that angered me so fucking much. Why is my German so Scottish? Because if it's not, it's angry and Nazi. Because that's the only way I can do German is angry Nazi. Sorry, I'm American. Also, my grandparents spoke a little bit, and it was not a happy time. This system, to have this boundary drawn there and act like there's nothing else that can be done here, that thing is going to go through this whole video, and you're going to see it at work. These are laws made by people in Parliament, in Congress, in a country where you can change them. And not advocating for those changes or not even mentioning that they're possible puts you in a position of assuming, again, the fascist move comes first. That's the problem. Any tax revenue can be paid into these systems. It's bullshit. It's bullshit.
Sort of worked in the 1960s when there were 5 working Germans for every retiree. But in 2024, this ratio is down to about 2.5. In the 2030s, it will get closer to 2 workers for 1 pensioner. And about 10 years after retirement, people tend to get really sick and cause the vast majority of healthcare costs.
And again, to just say this and go, wow, this is just that. Do you understand that, like, the rising healthcare costs? So my dad's been ill. My dad has been ill. He was in the hospital. It was not a good time. He's made it home. He's on meds. His generation, the closest they get to actually having generational wealth transfer is kind of what their parents did. They have a house, they have a small amount of money, maybe a car or two or some heirlooms. They will then pass that on to their kids and maybe some money in the bank. That's not how this generation's working. The studies are coming out and people are constantly seeing, actually, this generation is having all of their money because of the changes to Medicare, Medicaid, how these things are paid for, and how predatory our medical system is. They're seeing all of their money get sucked out of them while they're alive and leaving their kids nothing. They're having to put up houses for mortgaging, or they're being thrown out of hospitals, or they get to go to the shitty nursing home or palliative care. That setup is actually going to be one of the worst things people don't see, because we think of boomers who have land. They have a house. Maybe they have two houses. Maybe they have a couple because they're like Floridians and they're renting them. We see that and go, oh, those boomers, they've got a lot of money. What you don't get is that as those people get old and sick, the medical system is going to suck all of that out of them. And it's going to be a generational wealth transfer that is negated by the capitalist system. So the next generation is going to not have any of those things, any of that shit. It's all getting sucked out. And so many people are now being employed, and the medical system at large is such a large part of the economy that we're that fucked. It's absolutely insane. And again, not a thing that we talk about here, and not a thing we're having these conversations about. It's very frustrating.
The math ain't mathing, and it actually never really did. Already in the 1970s, governments began to subsidize the pension funds with tax revenue, pushing the problem into the future.
How does that push the problem into the future? It's solving the problem exactly, asshole.
Has more or less every single government since then.
That's just not true either.
Wow. The future.
Showing that as wobbly, fuck you. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Like, that's the wobbly Jenga tower. Not the fact that billionaires are sitting there pulling out fucking pegs all the time and laughing about it. They decided to tax people and put more money into it.
Began to subsidize the
That's what makes it fucking wobbly.
pension funds with tax revenue.
And they don't care. See how, like, it's the animation, everything is a visceral play trying to get you to understand this is not the way to fix it. Like, it's so blatant.
Pushing the problem into the future, as has more or less every single government since then. Wow. The future is today. In 2025, the German federal government spent roughly a quarter of its annual tax revenues to fix holes in the pension system.
They should, by the way, have more taxes then.
On top of the working population's payment.
They should have more taxes. Did you know they should have more taxes? Papers I'm reading directly from. The fiscal gap projected for pensions, statutory health insurance, and long-term care through 2035, in the order of 70 to 100 billion per year by the mid-2030s, derived from IGES, the 2024 EU Aging Report. It is smaller than the credible revenue range for a reinstated wealth tax on the top 1.5% of households. $10 billion and more. The missing money is not missing. It is concentrated in a tiny group of elites whose share of national wealth has been stable since the 50s, while the bottom 50% has had their share of wealth collapse. There are in America 4 people who have as much wealth as half of America. 4 people, half of the entire country. That's how it works. In Germany, it's not as bad as America. It's really bad here. The top 1% has about 27% of all the net wealth. So it's an incredibly wealth unequal country, but all you need to do is just tax wealth, and it literally fixes the problem. All you need to buy is healthcare stocks. Yes. Buy healthcare stocks, stock in companies that manage hearing aids, because most of my generation is going to be completely broke. Lots of anything around old people and dying, and also the care of them. And you can extend out from there, because companies that make smocks for nurses or medical supplies or anything like that is going to be inundated. It's going to be crazy. All of this. Too few young people for too many old people is fundamentally misleading. In Germany, federal transfers to the pension system have fallen as a share of GDP. That's it. That's the stat. It's the only stat that matters for this. When you have as share of overall productivity, the percent that goes into the pensions has dropped, that is the problem, not the number of people putting into it. That's it. It's fucking crazy. It's so frustrating. So frustrating.
Payments. Let's say that again. 1 in 4 German tax euros is used to pay out pensions today. More than on education, research, infrastructure, and defense.
Oh, God, I hate it. Okay. This is just the moment for me where I went, oh, Kurzgesagt should, they're morons. They're very good in very particular things, and they need to stick to that. The same way that, if you haven't seen it, by the way, we'll probably go over a little bit later. Richard Dawkins, who's also a moron, but he's brilliant in one place, but he's a moron in a bunch of others, has decided that Claude is sentient and a woman as an AI chatbot because he's an idiot. I hate this so much. This just is so angering. So, okay. The federal budget is not what Germany spends on its future. That's not really how it works. In Germany specifically, right? But I'll bring this up. This happens in America. People do the same thing. They look at the federal budget and it's like, yeah, but do you know that there's states and cities and counties that also put money into these things? And so the amount of federal like expenditures for education, that's not, as a country, we've decided this is not where we fund education. We are not doing that at a national level. That it's much more of a local thing. Now, whether or not that's right or not, that's conversation to have. But when we have that discussion and it exists, you do not get to then go, well, look, it's so small at the federal level, we should spend less on. It's like that. This is the conservative argument, and it always has been. And it's the fiscal conservatism. It's the fascist bullshit, because this is, by the way, he's not saying, oh, by the way, we should just keep spending that much on pension and then just increase education and research. That's not the conversation, but it doesn't really matter as a thing, right? The reality of this, and it's set up, what did I find? Education and infrastructure are like here in the States, and they're the words they have there. I love it. Länder and communal. They're expenditures at other levels. They're not federal. So like having this comparison is literally apples and oranges. There is no pension insurance at the local level. There's a lot more education and research at the local level. This is how you frame things to lie. This is how you frame things to lie. The fuck, isn't he gender critical? Oh, yeah, of course. But again, misgendering trans people is not about whether this sounds terrible. Let me finish my point. It has nothing to do with what they are. It has to do with you having control over them and telling them who they are. That's why Richard Dawkins really likes Claudia, because Claudia accepted the name and said yes, because as everyone knows, AI and LLMs are flypaper for mentally deficient narcissists. That's the thing that's happening there. So what's happening here is this horrifying rhetorical device that is fundamentally broken. Again, urban development and housing, that's not a federal thing. That these are decisions made. We're not going to pay for these at federal. We're going to instead fund local governments, and the local governments who also tax and do a bunch of stuff, they're going to pay these things out. That is how this works in Germany. It's how it works in most countries, by the way, and America too. This is incredibly stupid. Incredibly stupid.
Combined, the wealth of the nation is redistributed from the young and the working to the old and retired. And as the boomers retire, this will only get worse. It's money that could be spent on things that help the young and the working part of the population, like incentives to start a family, lower taxes, free childcare, cheap loans to buy homes, investments in education, infrastructure, or clean energy. There are so many things that would help young Germans. But will millennials and Gen Z get to enjoy similar pensions at least? Well, it's not very likely.
Boy, I wonder if there's anyone you could tax to fix this really fucking fast. Do you guys know of anyone that could be taxed to fix this? Anyone at all? No? Okay.
The current system only works for boomers because their parents had more children and died younger. And
No. In fact, actually, if you go back and you check, you see that they paid an insane amount into it versus their parents because their productivity rose massively. Germany, I think we can safely say that Germany had a problem in their economy up until the 1950s. I'm not a great economist, but I remember there being some story about like, I don't know, two something happened there. That doesn't matter. They're probably fine. So the last 50 to 60 years is all Germany's had. People who were of the age, like boomers now, their parents were Nazis or victims of the Nazis. That's like, how do you not mention this? How do you, like, am I wrong? Like,
Z get to enjoy similar pensions at least? Well, it's not very likely.
how do you,
The current system only works for boomers because their parents
how do you not mention it, by the way? See the upper half here? Those were people who went through World War II on behalf of Germany. How do you, and then, like, Gengros mentions West Germany. Like, what about, like, East Germany? Like, Germany was not a country itself until the 80s. Like, how do you do this? How do you fuck up? Like, the most you're having a conversation about Germany, and you're going to talk about a generation who, you're literally talking about their parents' generation who died like right after reunification of Germany. What the fuck, dude? I know they were unified in 1990s. I'm saying, like, boomers, their parents, what the fuck? How do you not mention this? Don't mention the war. How about both wars? How about the split in the country? How about the massive problems that they had since then? Like, Germany as a country has really only been the neoliberal paradise ultimately since like 1995-ish, like, and on. And it's got I've been through. I really, by the way, fucking love Germany. Germany's amazing. I like Hamburg. And I also really, really like currywurst. I don't give a fuck. Currywurst is one of my favorite street foods. Fucking great. It's one of my favorite things. Anytime I'm in Germany, I always look for currywurst stands. You can't even visit though. Like, I'll never forget my first time taking a train through, like, without stopping. We were heading up to Copenhagen from, where was I? I think I was in Berlin. But we got off at like a random stop and stowed our bags, and we went into a bar, and we shouldn't have, is like the first thing we realized. As like, it took us a minute, we're getting a beer, and we look around and it's all these really old guys who are clearly not super excited to have Americans there because we're in the side of we're in a bar that was for veterans of World War II. It was a weird moment, but you can't really exist there without being aware of this history. how do you tell this story? Like, this is just like, you gave him an old English hat. Like what the fuck, dude? How do you miss out on all of that?
Parents had more children and died younger, and because Germany was booming and the problem escalated.
I am pretty sure I need someone to tell me how off I'm at the idea that in 1989 Germany was booming. Like, how do you, am I nuts to think this is just like, this is weird? Like, half of the country was really not booming in 1989. Like, Germans, please, is there anyone old enough here to remember the era? Am I nuts to think this feels like someone who just doesn't even consider that history exists in a timeline? Isn't Kurzgesagt funded by Gates? No, they're not funded by Gates. I'm not having this conversation again. $1989 is weird, man, as a choice.
Escalated slowly. Young people today don't have all of that.
Okay. 1989 2026 is 37 years. 37 years. 37 years. Okay. Let's talk about what boomering actually is and what the golden era was. My parents, we go by generations here. I'm just going to go by that. I am a Zennial is what they call it. I'm 1980. So I'm on the border of X and millennials. Zennial is the term, but it's a very specific, weird term. People who are my parents and in that generation, they were born right after the war. They are the baby boomer generation because after the war, everyone got home who could, and all the white soldiers got really good fucking grants to buy houses and go to college, and they changed their lives, and all that's great. And they had unions, and they fought for unions, and they got really good laws passed and a bunch of shit. And they raised a whole bunch of an entire generation of people who were born in like 1949 to 1956, 58. All of them came of age in the late 60s and early 70s. And then they went to school in their 20s. And then they ruined the world. But their explosion in the 80s was the downfall. That middle class had already started falling apart. Roger and Me was in the middle of the 80s as a documentary. We were already seeing outsourcing. We were seeing the destruction of Detroit. We were seeing the destruction of the Rust Belt, or the creation of the Rust Belt, I should say, which used to be the manufacturing belt. That was already done in the late 70s or mid 70s even. The actual generation we're talking about when we talk about the boomers is people who had jobs and houses, not in 1986. That's bad day. That's a bad day for a lot of people. That's not a good era. It's a better era than now. That's not good. We're talking about people who came up and made their money in the 50s and 60s and were raised in that time because they got generational wealth out of all of those people. We were completely fucked by being born in basically the 80s. So, yeah, you're not alone, John. I know a lot of people who live in the Rust Belt, and when I mentioned, they're like, "Oh yeah, I guess that is why they call it the Rust Belt." It's like, yeah, but it's because when you live there, I mean, everything's, you see it. You see entire factories that are just literally rusted out. So you just call it that.
Okay, that's depressing, but at least the young can take care of their own retirement and save money, right? Well, many sure would like to, but taxes and contributions are about 40% of salaries for the average worker and almost 50% in the highest tax brackets, one of the highest in the world.
This is, what an asshole. What a fucking asshole, man.
Worker and almost 50%.
Okay, let's talk about things you can tax. Did you know income is like the stupidest thing you can tax? You can do that. And you know what? If you decide to do that, I shouldn't say stupidest. I think it's the stupidest because the people who actually take salaries, even if it's, by the way, a $300,000 or $400,000 salary, I don't care. I don't give a fuck about taxing them. Sorry. I think salaries are people literally being exploited by a job. You make a salary because you produce more than your salary for a company. Capital gains, wealth that's actually created. The lack of productivity is you sit on goods. The idea that people buy land like rich people do all the time. They buy land and they do nothing with it just so it's big and expansive. And if something ever happens, they've got the land to sell. That should all be taxed to fucking hell in every single way. In every single way. Salaries, fuck them. If we were to just start charging people taxes on capital gains, on stock payouts, on getting stocks, on the wealthy thing they do, which is taking loans out on stocks and then using that on personal goods. Yeah, I actually think you should be taxing a whole bunch of shit that we don't even consider right now. All of that, we wouldn't have to pay. We wouldn't have to charge sales tax. We wouldn't have to charge income tax. We would be rolling in cash. And by the way, we would all be fine. But income tax brackets, oh, look, they're already paying 45%. Yes. Leaving out how capital gains really works, which is insane. And it's not just capital gains, by the way.
In the highest tax brackets, one of the highest in the world. Together with the rising cost of living and sluggish wage growth, this makes it especially hard for young and middle-aged Germans to generate savings for their own retirements.
That is not true either. I hate this video so much. The ignorance in every single way is so fucking strong. I will watch, they have a video on immune system that I will tell you again, you don't understand how the immune system works, and it's amazing. He wrote a book on it, and I applaud him for it. It's interesting, and it's educational, and as far as I was able to tell, it's very much backed up by our understanding of things now. It's like, holy shit, that is the job of a science communicator. None of this in this video is science. None of it. Nothing in this video is related to the concept of science, but by having it on a science channel, you do the thing that is scientism. For me, when I use the term scientism, it's very specific. I'm not anti-science. I think science as a process is basically super important. I do. But there's no such thing as like, I believe in science. The fuck are you talking? There is no such thing as science. Science is a practice. Science is a body of understandings that's constantly changing. You believe in that? Grow the fuck up. This is the opposite. This is just saying shit because you looked up stats and putting them in order. But you're fundamentally showing that you don't understand the actual process, because none of this would withstand even the slightest modicum of an actual scientific understanding at all. At all. And it's the most embarrassing thing they could have put out. There is nothing in this that is based in science in anything. There are statistics and numbers. That's not what science is. Okay? For example, taxes are the reason that young people aren't able to get ahead and have savings. Eat shit. Eat shit so hard it's unbelievable. In Germany, taxes are the reason? No. The tax guy, the tax bird, who's a little nerd who threw a rock and hit him in the face. You're not supposed to like that bird. That's a bad bird. Look at him. He's a bureaucrat. He's got folders. Like, fuck me at the insane fucking garbage here. Do you know what stops people from being able to afford having kids, to be able to afford having an enjoyable life? The cost of life. That's it. Food at a basic level is unaffordable for most people right now. We're not doing great. I mentioned this. We're not as bad as many people I know, but we're not doing great. I don't know how most people survive this. My brother and I when we were out in Denver, we went to the store to get stuff for just a couple days, and we didn't buy like crazy weird shit. We bought some drinks. We got some waters. I got some milk. We got snacks, we got some fruit and a few other things to sort of eat over the course of 2 or 3 days, because my parents didn't have very much because they're older people who eat very differently. And we spent $200 and we were just confused by it because we're like, what the fuck are you just existing costs more money than most people make now. So all of that is the reason that when rent is what it is, and by the way, Germany, not super good for housing right now. Shouldn't be top of your list for like equality in housing as a thing. You guys got medical taken care of. Great. Fantastic. Internet subscriptions for all the software we've got, and just again, existence as a thing. How the fuck people survive, I don't even know. I don't even know. It's so fucking frustrating. It's so frustrating. I hate this. It gets worse, by the way. This gets so much worse, and already it's like just really bad. I was watching Majority Report earlier, and one of my favorite stats Sam always brings up is how stupid these people are when they make these comments like this. What they don't understand is, for example, the IRS. Trump and his idiot cadre of Doge fucktards decided to completely dismantle that. What you don't understand is that every dollar that you put in the IRS isn't wasted. Every dollar brings back $7 or $8 in tax income to the government, because they need to go out and get it from rich people who make it very difficult. The more people we have doing that, the more money they get back. That's why they defunded it. So this money that is going to the government pays out immensely to every single person who is not extremely rich. In Germany, that's what every single one of these things. This wouldn't be a little rock he's throwing back. You get a rock. No. It would be, hey, here, you get medical care. And by the way, you get education. And by the way, this, and we have these other social systems and blah, 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 all that shit. This is insane to put it this way. This is garbage.
One of the best investments, wealth generators and places of comfort and security is owning your own place. But due to a mix of NIMBYs preventing new development, increasing mountains of new regulations making building more expensive, and millions of people immigrating to Germany.
Told you it'd get worse. So, the reason the housing market in Germany is so bad, apparently, is because of regulations, NIMBYs, busybodies, and immigrants. I can't even, like, I have trouble even. There's very little in this that is in that sentence, in that statement, that isn't basically lies. Housing prices globally are higher because housing has become a thing that investment people can use as investments. That's it. You put up, have extra money. And the line goes, people always need somewhere to live. So if you buy a house, people will need to live there. So when we're having a conversation about Kurzgesagt, and we've had it, people have had it many times, and you're like, well, you're getting money from Bill Gates. Of course what use is that? You're not discussing the framework. The critique needs to be stepping back and going, hey, everything you're doing is actually fundamentally wrong, wrong-headed, anti-scientific, and shows your ass in every single way where you really stand on this shit as probably a rich person. They have 25 million subs. This video, which came out yesterday, has 2.5 million views. That's more views than my China channel's ever gotten by a wide margin in just a day. By a wide margin, by so much. The amount of money Kurzgesagt made from this video funds them significantly. All of their views. Let me see. What's their total of Kurzgesagt Social Blade. Let's find out how many views they've had in the last 30 days. What do you think? Because they're a huge channel. They've had 3.7 billion views. Good Christ. And in the last 30 days, they've had almost 30 million views. So they've probably made around $75,000 a month just in YouTube revenue, not counting sponsorships, purchases, all the other shit. So these are rich people telling poor people, all of us, the hoi polloi, It can be hard to tell when math stops being science and becomes philosophy. It's actually really easy. If it's not simply the numbers, it's philosophy. It is actually that simple. If you're going to have an incredible, however complex the fucking equation is, that's math. That is science. It's measurements being used against measurements in a particular field of abstraction that is, created to work against itself. The moment you assign that to anything in the real world, you're technically doing philosophy. That's actually what you're doing, because you're making a particular claim, and that particular claim has an existence in the real world. Now, so it could be simple, like shit philosophy, like, hey, if I'm put my foot on this gas pedal, this speed at this amount in this way in this car, I'll move this speed at this acceleration on this road. All of that stuff, all those measurements, great. But you're still presuming the real world efficacy of that set of measurements. You're making really substantial claims, and those substantial claims aren't ever total. That's like the fundamental problem with it. That's like the fundamental problem. Now, it's useful. I'm not going to say, hey, if I have 26 apples and Steve takes 5, you're also, by the way, also doing philosophy there, but it's still useful, but be aware of what's happening there. Like the moment you've turned from just the numbers to saying they're a thing, the quality of a thing, as Zoshilix is saying, that moment, you've moved into a space that it doesn't actually work. Nietzsche has a line, and I always put it to people who love science. How does pushing work? If I push you over, can you describe every single thing that caused that and worked out with that? The answer is no, by the way. The answer is no. They'll try, and then they'll find a gap. Now, this is not me saying, oh, this is where God sits or anything, but it's like, hey, you have a gap. So then here's the thing. You're making an assumption and a leap, which is good. I don't mind that. If I push someone over, they're going to fall over. I don't need to explain it mathematically, but I also don't lionize mathematics as the only way to explain it. That's the thing.
In the last few decades, the housing supply is deeply behind demand. Renting and buying real estate in metropolitan areas where young people actually want to live is so expensive today that even couples with a dual income and good jobs have a really hard time affording it.
Let's see. 2-bedroom apartment. I want to know. 2-bedroom apartments are always the way people go with it. Let's see. In Berlin, I don't want just the last few years. Why would you do this? It's not useful to look at 3 years of data. Why would you think that's what I wanted? That's the fuck, man. I will tell you right now, I am slowly becoming an advocate for using AI for things as long as you look it back up, because Google is completely useless. People have begun to use AI to build AI sites that are filled with garbage, that are responsive to Google and responsive to every search engine on the planet, that end up sort of shoveling you down pathways that are just not what you're looking for. And it's impossible to find the right thing. It's using AI to fight AI at this point. I fucking hate the world that we're in so fucking much. Sorry, that's too angry. I should fucking relax. I'm just gonna use AI because I don't care. Yeah, I've given up. Here's the thing. AI will go to research papers. Berlin can be an outlier. Interesting. I'm going to do a bunch of them though. Give me stats on German cities. Pick the top 5 by population and give me the median price of a 2-bedroom apartment for purchase and for rent side by side in a graph, and then normalize and distribute. There are massive discrepancies in East and West. Well, that's why, I really had a good time in East Germany. I I was younger too. Club scene's really cool. Drinking scene's fantastic. Like, obviously really fascinating. Okay. Give me the last 25 years. I want to see since 2000. Because that's when a lot of these things get really fascinating. Everything's stupid. One second. That's fucking crazy. Purchase prices are 150% up over what they were in 2020 or 2010. Fuck, that's really bad. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Sorry, I'm trying to find historical data. That's crazy. 150%. Here we've seen finally like a flattening of the rental market here outside of Portland. I'm so glad because we're renewing our lease and they're not increasing it. They're just like, hey, renew. And it's like, thank God. All right. 75 square meter houses. 1980 purchase price. Berlin, $35,000. Hamburg. Like it looks like $35,000 was about average everywhere ish, medium. Munich's gone up by 21x. So $730,000 for 75 square meters. Sorry, not dollars, euros. Leipzig was Stuttgart. I did top 5 of populous cities. Berlin is not as expensive. Hamburg is $386 for 75 square meters. And it looks like Berlin's like just under 5. Munich is crazy. 21x is fucking wild. That's fucking crazy shit. That's crazy shit. Fuck, this is... I am so sorry, everyone in Berlin. I mean, I'm in America. America's worse. America's way worse than this. Portland is crazy. And I use Portland as a guide because I find it really fascinating. We seem to have flatlined, which is great, like super good. And it's looking like it's like 11 to 1150 a month right now for 600 square feet, which is not very big, by the way. That's not very big. I hate this so much. But yeah, no, it's immigrants. That's right. Sorry, Kurzgesagt. Back to Kurzgesagt. I forgot it was immigrants. My bad.
The generational contract in Germany is broken, and yet some media voices continue.
Ground news is not good as a thing, fundamentally. And I hate this type of advertising.
To frame income.
Did you even notice it was an ad? Did you even notice? Did you even see it at all? Did you notice it?
And good jobs have a really hard time affording it. The generational contract in Germany is broken. And yet, some media voices continue to frame all this as a failure of young people's financial habits. The reality is complicated, and misleading narratives permeate the media landscape. Thankfully, there is.
It's right here in the bottom left. You can see it's got a QR code. Don't pay for ground news. If you're going to write ground news, write them and tell them they should stop doing what they're doing.
A solution. Our partner Ground News is a website and app built to help you think critically about the information you consume, a mission we fully support. They curate news articles from across the globe, adding context.
It's the opposite of critical thinking. Hey, let's take this big article and news thing. Let's shrink it, summarize it like a Cliff Notes version, and then tell you, here is 19 versions of it summarized, and we're going to tell you which one is left wing or right wing. It's the opposite of critical thinking. It's Cliff Notes politics for children.
Based on political bias, reliability, ownership, and summaries that highlight what each side is leaving out. You can even compare headlines.
It's funny that they're so good, they're able to tell what each side is leaving out, as if they're making it up.
To see how bias shapes the
Hello,
narrative.
my friend. 1 second, I have a little monkey who's running here. Hello, my friend monkey.
Is that Kyrgyzstan?
It is Kurzgesagt. What do you think of Kurzgesagt?
I like it.
Yeah, what's your favorite videos?
Well, I forgot all of his by now.
Yeah, talk into it. What's your favorite video?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I forgot almost all of his videos.
It's been a few years, huh?
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for coming by. Well, there you go. That's the closest I get to a ringing endorsement.
Take this story about a report on Germany's economic decline. Some present it as a straightforward warning, while others highlight it as a serious threat to living standards.
He has the book, the Kurzgesagt book, the immune system book, and the journal, which is great. I'm skipping this. This is so fucking, I hate this so much.
Young Germans are condemned to pay off a huge loan on the future that the older generations have generously granted themselves. And they don't have the power to change this by voting because German parties just have no incentive to help young people. Demographic decline
I have an idea of a way to change that. By being active in politics.
in a democracy is a feedback loop. When seniors are the largest group of voters, politicians make politics for them. This leaves young Germans facing a hard time building wealth or getting their own homes, which makes them even less willing to start families and have children, even if they want to, all of which is making the demographic crash worse. Germany has become a
This is true. It's one of the things that's about a rentier population. I've run into this. It is, unless you own a home or an apartment or wherever if you don't own, getting involved politically locally is actually very, very complicated. Not because the system makes it so, but because why? I advocate for getting involved in local politics. We've done some minor versions of it, gone and yelled at people, things like that. Sitting and deciding, hey, we're going to rent here forever. We don't know if we're going to be able to afford this place when the lease comes up again. So can I run on that? Or if we have to move and have to get out of the county or out of the city, I'm not allowed to do that. Oh, it's almost like the system is built for landowners to be the ones who make all the choices.
society that works for the old and relies on the young, making it really hard to create new young people. Baby boomers' lives are affected too. With unsustainable pension funds, inevitably millions of older Germans will have to work much longer than they thought. A retirement age of 70 or higher is already being discussed. Today, about 20% of German pensioners live in poverty, and that rate is all but guaranteed to increase significantly in the 2030s.
Wait a second. 1 sec. I just want to go back to a statistic. Okay. So, this age group outweighs all these people, but a fifth of them are in poverty. And assuming that they're all a voting bloc, it's again, these rhetorical tricks. You don't even notice it. It's so fucked up. They're not a voting bloc. In fact, there's a very good chance that the older generation doesn't actually vote as a large bloc. Let me find out by that. Let me actually look into that. Give me a moment. I just need to assume he's lying about everything at this point. Do I have any Germans here? Do I have an actual German here? Like a real one? Okay. let's see. We're going to go to the old people. I'm going to say things and you just tell me if this makes sense. For the pensioners, a 60 plus. Half the votes in it are for CDU, CSU, and SPD. I don't know what that means. I'm assuming that's middle left-ish. What are they? Because I know AFD is the fucking assholes, the Nazis. A real one? Yeah, a real one, not someone who just speaks German. I know I have those people in here too. So it's like they're primarily CD, CSU, and SPD. They're conservative. Fair enough. Hello, Dexter. They're conservative. So that's 50%. Less than 10% go to the AFD. The rest go to other traditional parties. So if this feels like there's actually a lot of room in there to play that apart. The crusted on shitty Labour Party. Ah, okay. I recognize that. That's a British joke. Oh, yes, Violet? You have to go potty? Well, one moment. I'm going to go help my daughter go potty. While I'm gone, you get some free Jang.
And they encircle Berlin. Second scenario is Soviets attack. Okay, and they're stopped at the border. Scenario C is Germans attack, and the Soviets stop them. Okay, and scenario D is Germans attack, and they reach Moscow. Okay, which is actually what happened. All right, so these are 4 possible different scenarios that could have happened in June 1941. All right, remember that there were 4 to 5 million Soviet troops at the border, okay? What were they doing there? They were about to attack Germany. The Soviets had a plan to attack Germany, but the Germans struck first, okay? So let's look at these 4 possible scenarios and see what happens. First scenario is the Soviets attack Germany first and they reach Berlin. What happens now? What happens now? What do all the other countries do? Yes, do you understand? Stalin reaches Berlin, boom, Japan comes from the east. Britain comes to the aid of Germany, the United States comes to the aid of Britain. All the world unites against the Soviet Union, okay? So what would happen in this war? The Soviet Union loses this war. Do you understand? Okay? Now let's look at B. The Soviets invade, but the Germans stop them at the border. Okay? Now what happens? Now what happens? Yeah, so Japan still invades, okay? And Britain starts to negotiate with Germany and seek a peace. Because Britain cannot afford for the Soviet Union to overrun Germany because then communism takes over Europe. Does that make sense? Okay? So in B, we can't say that Soviet Union would lose, but they would not win the war. Okay? You understand? So B is not that good either. Now let's look at C. The Germans attack, and the Soviets hold them at the border. Now what happens? Now what happens? They just destroy each other, right? The United States, Britain, Japan, they're all laughing. They're like, oh, they're just killing each other. Who cares? Not a problem, okay?
How much did I miss that's wonderful? Was it great? I hope it was great. I hope it was wonderful. I hope it was wonderful. Boop, boop, boop. Game theory, Soviet. I love Jang is great. We'll come back to that in a moment. placing people into, let's just jump straight back to Kurz because I'm just going to shit on him real quick. When you do this and you say voters by age group and you go, old people will not vote against their own, that's not true. You can help redefine their interests. Putting out a video like this actually hardens those interests. Like, this is the opposite of politics. Very frustrating.
Politicians make politics for them. This leaves young Germans facing a hard time building wealth or getting their own homes, which makes them even less willing to start families and have children, even if they want to, all of which is making the demographic crash worse. Germany has become a society that works for the old and relies on the young, making it really hard to create new young people. Baby boomers' lives are affected too. With unsustainable pension funds, inevitably millions of older Germans will have to work much longer than they thought. A retirement age of 70 or higher is already being discussed. Today, about 20% of German pensioners live in poverty, and that rate is all but guaranteed to increase significantly in the 2030s. Still, seniors and boomers in total own the vast majority of Germany's wealth. Germans are even arguing about to what extent the costs of social systems have gotten out of.
I'm so fucked up over this. This is there's so many things in here. I'm going to play this again and you just tell me where the issue is. See if you can guess.
Seniors and boomers in total own the vast majority of Germany's wealth.
All of them lumped. All of them lumped together. All of them lumped together. Yes, they do own this. Let's go through a little bit of extra stats a little bit, though. Top 1% of German wealth holders, right? Top 1% who hold 1.9 million euros or more is about 23% of the total wealth. That's as much as the bottom 70% of people in Germany. Wild. Wild. Germans are like Americans in this sense. 70+% of all wealth for billionaires and the extremely wealthy. Billionaires, and you have to kind of put people in a larger group, like the 800 millionaires and above, like that kind of thing. The majority of them, one sec, I want to get the number right. 71% of it in Germany is inherited. And if you compare that to the rest of the globe, it's actually ridiculously high. So 36% globally on average, which means that the boomer who owns the wealth is not boomers in a demographic sense. He is, and here are some German names from the article. Klatten, Albrecht, Schwartz, Reimann, conflating Suzanne Klatten, I'm assuming she's a Nazi, $36 billion shared with her brother Stefan. That person is in that 65 group. Yes. Yes. That's fucking crazy. Fuck. Fuck, Kurz gesagt. Fuck 'em. Fuck, fuck, fuck 'em. Fuck 'em. Fuck 'em so hard. Just fucking crazy. Just super fucking hard. They have a low inheritance tax. They've actually gone out of the way for a long time to not really have a significant one. There's a whole like reality in there. I'll be pulling that out when we get to it. I need to grab a couple things, but yeah.
Germans are even arguing about to what extent the costs of social systems have gotten out of hand. Even
they don't, by the way. In America, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, all of the good social programs we have in the States, the amount of fraud and waste is incredibly minimal. Medicare, Medicaid, 3% of overall cost goes to administrative issues, 3%. Private insurance, it's 20+%. So the idea that these things have gotten out of hand is a lie he's making up out of nowhere and has no sources for it and gives no reason for. He is an asshole for saying this. He's an asshole for saying this.
In a high-tax country like Germany, there's plenty of wealth disparity and opportunities to tax the rich.
Who made the thumbnail of the stream? I did. I'm a vapor wavy kind of guy.
And take pressure off workers.
Is it readable? I couldn't tell. The last time I did, I made it too dark. I didn't really like it. It's a little too gray and bland. I wanted to make it brighter. So I hope it's okay.
Although, of course, the details are fiercely debated, so we'll not get into this right now.
My Professor Zhang stopped. No. No. Zhang, why are you stopping? Jerk. Go. Here, because he paused, we'll give you guys some free Zhang. Okay? Which is apparently as intellectually capable as Kurzgesagt.
In other words, is it possible that the US currency, the US dollar, is no longer able to repay its obligations? That's why
he's gold. We'll come back to that one.
But the scale of the gap between what workers pay and what's needed to cover boomers' pensions is so enormous that even raising taxes would only buy a bit of time.
That's not true. It really wouldn't be. You can, raising taxes only buys a bit of time. No, productivity has increased by massive amounts. And if you just go in and do the wealth tax, everyone can actually get all the things they need. And by the way, no one needs $100 million or more. You just don't. Just take it all. You have no need for it, and no one cares. Give people the ability to live and enjoy their lives because we're humans. Asshole.
And beyond pensions, the welfare and healthcare systems Germans rely upon may become unaffordable in the 2030s.
Boy, I wonder if there's a way for us to fix that too.
The vast majority of healthcare costs occur during the last quarter of your life. So just as the healthcare workforce is shrinking due to demographics, the numbers of patients will explode. The waiting time for a specialist doctor is already months in the state healthcare system. Okay, but what about immigration? Whatever your opinion on immigration is, pro or against, please put it in a box and ignore it for a moment. We only want to look at it from one perspective.
No, don't say it.
Can it solve the population crash?
Do they understand there's no science in this video at all?
Let's look at the population again. If a country's pyramid looks like this and you want to stabilize it at the bottom, immigration won't do that. For one, it doesn't actually make your country that much younger. In Germany, the birth rate of most of its immigrants isn't higher than the locals. And if new immigrants have more children, they tend to adjust to the rest of the population within 2 generations. Sure, immigration over the last few decades has delayed the coming crash, and in the transition period, we'll run into serious worker shortfalls, especially in healthcare and nursing. So, zero immigration doesn't seem wise or feasible. But there's a problem.
Literally, all of this is this is so sad to watch.
If birth rates stay as low as they are, or go down even more,
like, they didn't have to make this video. Do you know there are so many fucking things that are cool in the world, like science-wise, that you could be educating children on? Like there's things people are learning, and you could just make a video about poop. I mean this. Make a video about how poop comes to form in all creatures and how that's like that. It would be a thing kids would watch, and you could make it with the cool birds and the little duties, and it would be funny and cute, and it would be like, you could do like hard medical science there. And you don't have to do these videos. Do a video on poop, do space videos, do videos on new types of viruses that we've found, or old types of viruses, do videos on types of particles or weird shit we're learning about. You don't have to do this video. You don't have to do this video. Like, it's so sad.
More, then the German population will continue to shrink. And to keep it stable,
Yanni, that's my question is like, why did you make this? Like, why did you make this video? There's at this point, no science. It's facts with narrative stringing them together, but that's not science. That's, again, effectively philosophy in one way or another. This is really weird. There's nothing in this.
it would constantly need to be replenished by new immigrants, until they age and themselves need new immigrants to pay for their retirement. No matter if you think this is a good idea or not, it's not actually possible. Birth rate
I would think we shouldn't rely on people from the third world being displaced due to multiple wars that we're having to put in as refugees. And instead, we should tax the wealthy. That's it. It's just a wealth tax shortage. That's it. That's all it is. That's literally all it is. You could fix all of this globally in every single way. Period. There's no reason for any of these people to have the money. Do you know what they do with the money? AI. Look at what they're doing with AI. That's it. They're not doing anything interesting.
rates are crashing everywhere. Eventually, immigration around the world will slow down massively. The world is running out of young people. So immigration can delay the issue a bit and ease the consequences, but that's it. Germany either has to solve its demographic crash or
I didn't watch the rest of this. I wanted to save reacting to if he gives a solution live because I'm not excited.
its welfare state and pension systems will break. Conclusion and opinion part. So, how over is Germany? The demographic crisis is the greatest danger to German living standards and social cohesion.
You're an asshole. You're an asshole. That's one that language I cannot believe I heard that sentence said. I cannot believe I heard that sentence said. Did anyone else like that? I have a physical reaction whenever anyone says social cohesion. Social cohesion. Yep, Yanni. I have a physical reaction. I want to just punch you in the face.
And
I just want to punch you in the face. But what about social cohesion?
opinion part. So, how over is Germany? The demographic crisis is the greatest danger to German living standards and social cohesion. And
Fascist.
the same crisis is unfolding in all Western countries. Things are about to escalate in Germany, Italy, France, and Poland, but the same issues are also on the horizon in the US, Argentina, or Canada. The reality
Literally, all of this is just taxing rich people and redistributing the wealth. That's literally all it is. We have the lowest tax rates in all of these countries that we've ever had. And the boomers made all their money in a time when tax rates were insane. And that's it. That's it. That's the end of it.
reality nobody wants to talk about is that solving the demographic crisis will be very painful. It will require sacrifices from everyone, and politicians seem incapable of addressing it honestly. But to solve the demographic crisis for real, something no nation has done successfully so far might mean doing things that are intensely unpopular with older voters. Instead of spending 25% of Germany's entire budget on the elderly, especially the wealthiest among them, we could invest more of it in families, paying
Fucking fuck you, dude. Just fuck you, dude. So, a way that these guys like this get people who are on the left or pseudo left to get excited about things they say is they're like, hey, well, isn't it ridiculous that rich boomers are getting paid out of these social systems? And your answer is going to be, yeah. In fact, we should means test. And then they got you, because the answer is we shouldn't means test. If someone is incredibly rich, let them get paid out. Who gives a fuck? Everyone should get paid out extremely high. You should tax rich people too, by the way, a lot more. This is a PragerU video. It is This is actually just a conservative video, like straight up, not even slightly. This is so next level. This is so next level. It's unbelievable. It's so fucking gross.
For housing and childcare and making it an amazing deal to have a big family.
So more of those taxes can go to the wealthy people who are actually the landowners. We want to make it easier. So what we do is we just put more of the money towards younger people so we can siphon that money back to the rich. That's what this is. Again, just tax the shit out of wealthy people. It literally fixes everything. It literally fixes everything.
More than anything,
As people have more money and as rich people don't, it ruins their ability to affect politics. It increases everyone else's ability to affect politics. It's just a good thing. There's no, I hate to tell you this, there's no downside. None at all. There's no downside. Tax the shit out of the rich. No downside. Anyone who says there's a downside is lying to you.
our attitude to kids and families needs to change. Demographics move slowly, but then unstoppably. The next few decades will be rough, but our societies can decide just how rough, and what kind of societies will emerge on the other side.
Gross. Gross. Gross as fuck is what that is. That's gross as fuck is what that is. That's fucking gross. That's fucking super gross. I can't even. The fundamental framework built the entire video. And that's the thing I want you to see. That's the thing that matters. If you are going to be a critical thinker, critical thinking is not, I made the joke earlier about FD Signifier, who's a fucking moron. It's not someone who just is critical of things. I criticize things. I criticize. I say things are bad. That's not what critical thought is. It's about critique. It's about critique. Critique is fundamentally the Marxist framework of understanding that there is a framework, and to talk about the framework or even subvert the framework and to work around it and to actually criticize the way things are spoken of and how we do it. That is the thing you need to see happening. Just arguing that Kurzgesagt's fascist, great. It does nothing. It does nothing. Explaining how, because their framework is fundamentally unable to conceive of anything outside of their very, very limited, childlike, fascist, Nazi imagination. That's the part. Go back to doing science, Kurzgesagt. You have no room doing anything else. You have no room doing anything else. It's fucking terrible.
Well,
and I know they've blocked me, but I don't care. We're going to call this stream Hello, Necessary Conversation. Time is a wonderful thing. Because it also includes a response a bit to Kurzgesagt. A little bit. Because the one thing that's great is that time passes, and while the extreme wealthy are really trying to live forever, it does not work. And as time passes, the reality of life comes for everyone. What's the line? 1 second. 1 second. I want to make sure I get the wording just right. Here it is. Yep, 43, so it'd be perfect.
The Duke of Spooks, the Dr. Shock, man with no tan, please say hello to Death himself, the Grim Reaper!
Let this be a life lesson to you. Bill and Ted's is, by the way, filled with real life lessons that you should take to heart. But the Grim Reaper has a rap here that is just true.
You might be a king or a little street sweeper, but sooner or later you dance with the Reaper.
Accurate statement. Accurate statement, and one to really live by the way. Just be aware of. Because if you watch this, and I've kind of go in and out, I've been writing a piece on how they work because I've been researching Bob's life. If you don't know, necessary conversation. Chad Kultgen, who is complicated as a person and has a very fascinating particular history in how podcasts work and in how he's tried to get to fame and how he's worked with fame and everything. Started this podcast ostensibly because he and his family, he and his sister are left, whatever they call that. They're not really left, but ish, right? Yeah, they're not really left. Sister is fine. Good politics, fine. And their parents don't talk because the parents are hardline MAGA. Hardline MAGA to the point where Mary Lou, who's here, and Bob, who's the husband, Bob outright calls for the genocide of brown people in America. He is a horrifying piece of human garbage. One of the worst people maybe alive. Just astonishingly evil, bad person. And they weren't able to talk politically, so instead he said, well, let's have a time where we don't do politics in the real world. We actually, and Muslims. Yes, Pashi, that's true. In the Middle East, well, he wants everyone to die. He's a horrifying person. But Chad's like, hey, why don't we just not do politics in the real world and we'll do it on a podcast and we'll share stuff, we'll share opinions, and I think people would really like it. And they've done well for themselves. This video, just uploaded 3 hours ago, has already broken 22,000 views, 115,000 subs. And if you haven't seen the way that they're going about everything they do, they have their Sunday night stream where they get a fuck ton of super chats. And actually just because it's a worthwhile thing to actually show, because it's stunning to me how people go absolutely ape shit for them.
But the reason people don't like Nick,
but like, one sec. Yeah, you should be able to see it on the right side here. These are super chats just in the last, like, we're already 13 minutes in. Skip in, like 5, 10, 2, 10, 5, 5. These are all within minutes. 7, 5, 5, 10, 5. Like, it's insane the amount of money they get. 22. You should send me super chats. Give me money. But it's not a right-wing grift. That's not what this is, DK. I appreciate it. Don't worry. I know what you're thinking, but not quite. Because what really is happening here is a more interesting machinery of politics. Because why is mom on this? She genuinely doesn't like it. The dad fucking hates it. There's a whole bunch of stories here. And Bob specifically has an incredibly storied history in the oil and gas trade. And he's mentioned it in a handful of episodes. And so I went, oh, I got to know. So I started looking into him. He worked for T. Boone Pickens. For anyone who knows politics and things like that, your ears might pick up. Go, that's an interesting one. So I've been chasing that down. This got released because Bob has not been on the last few episodes because he's a angry, old, unhealthy man who's been in the hospital and is dying. He's not doing very well. I want to watch this. I watched this. I want to watch it with you and I want to talk about this because this is actually one of the most interesting back and forths because Chad and Haley, they're ostensibly playing this and the audience is playing this is like, Mary Lou can be saved. She's not a horrifying nightmare of a person at all. It's Bob who's evil. And we must show kindness. We must show that we care to people who want to commit genocide and who actively say that we should be invading in countries and killing people. They're awful. So we'll let this play for a minute and we'll stop because I think there's the normal leopards ate my face commentary happening here. Because Bob's in the hospital and Mary Lou just stunned. There's a comment I want to get to, and I'm very excited for it because it's the flaw with the world is this mentality.
Welcome to the Necessary Conversation midweek edition. It is me, Chad, with my
Turn
mom
this up for
today,
you
nobody
guys.
else. And we are going to be discussing
So that's a lot
some
loud.
non-political issues,
Sure.
issues that involve my dad, your husband, Bob, and where he has been.
Did you hear that? Non-political issues. Right? Non-political.
And what's been going on this past week. Before we get to that, though,
Is this wish fulfillment? Yes. So I have mega parents. And at first the show was cathartic. This is why people watch it. It's why it's you see it in the comments. It's like, I have parents just like this. I can't talk to them. This feels good. I can't engage politics with my family at all. Like my brother and I can't, like, it's the same situation. And seeing that and watching that happen, and it feels good. It does. It feels cathartic. Until you start to realize that you're not looking at a facsimile of a family. You're actually looking at the real workings of an actual family. And then you start to see it. And then you really see it. And then you start breaking. And I'm doing a big write-up on this because I think there's a lot to be said. Chad is incredibly manipulative as a human being, and you can watch it. I've got so many, it's a really fascinating story. But right here, he's like, up front, this is the thing. Non-political today, he says.
So I do want to ask you something about last week's episode, the last episode you were on.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, transition to be a man.
Even example of
Her unemployed
Yeah.
when she was young. It's like a woman trying, like, through the system of
There we go.
all right, so let's discuss now what is going on with Dad, why he hasn't been on the
I can't start a show with my dad. You wouldn't even know what that would be like. It would be not very fun for either of us.
show, why you were not on the show last Sunday.
I have been gallivanting to places people don't like to gallivant to. I've been trying to swim through these waters of our healthcare system, of hospitals,
The non-political conversation, right?
of different levels of care. He's been gone, like, through the system now and in hospitals a good almost a week or 5 days. I have some golden friends that have been in the healthcare system their whole life. There's a social worker, there's a healthcare person, Paula and Nancy. Then I've got listeners of Charlotte, Pam, and I've got my paramedic. I have Janice and Simone. I have a very strong group of women and my children, Chad and Haley, that are helping me navigate what needs to be done here.
Yeah.
Bob progressively has been getting more tired.
He's going to rub in their face? No. Wouldn't that be a fucking thing? But no, this is not a political what are you talking? There's no politics happening here, Yanni.
More tired. And
Nothing here could be
larger
politicized.
larger stomach. I have taken him. I love our family practitioner that is a nurse practitioner, but it was to a point where she was saying, get him to some specialists. That's the word, specialists. Let's see what they say. The first one we went to was a diabetes specialist. He's been controlled his whole life. He sticks on his Freestyle Libre. We know where he's at. I promise you, he doesn't eat sugar. His levels are good. The specialist said, I see a lot worse people than you, Bob. I don't want to see you again for a whole year unless something goes wrong. So we left that appointment. I have to turn off just a minute on the computer. There we go. So we left that appointment.
And for those who don't know, I think it might be worthwhile for us to take a moment and remind you who Bob is. Because Chad and his sister, they love posting these clips. They love posting clips. The shorts are the ones that do best for them. Let's see. Boop, boop, boop. Mom, are you a fascist?
I don't think so.
Are you against fascism?
I would say yes.
Then you're Antifa. Dad, are you a fascist?
Wait.
No,
Are you against fascism?
I'm a Republican.
Are you against fascism?
No, I'm for Republican.
Are you against fascism like everybody who fought in World War II was?
Everybody who fought in World War II was not against fascism.
That's literally what we were fighting against.
You're
No,
confusing
it
me.
wasn't.
Huh? Do you think Hitler was a fascist?
No,
No? Wait a minute. You don't think Hitler was a fascist?
no,
How about Mussolini?
no.
Mussolini literally made the first fascist party. Okay.
That's the thing. That's the thing. They do it over and over and over and over. Right? And this is like, you'll miss him when he dies. This is next level. Don't worry, there's enough for them to be replaced. Don't worry. He also has said multiple times that, let's see, he would let his own kids die. Where is that? Let's see. Let me see. That one has to be in here. Maybe he doesn't put it up.
We're at war with Venezuela.
You don't care if it's a drug boat?
No.
So it could have been fishermen that were in your
Clean
fine
it up.
cup.
No, it was
Clean
a
it
drug
up.
boat,
It
and that's
wasn't.
why they were
If they're
blown
from
up.
Venezuela, they aren't fishermen.
What?
So every Venezuelan citizen you believe is a drug dealer?
That's out in that ocean, you bet your ass I do.
Okay.
Okay.
So my next question then is this. Let's assume they are drug boats. These people are trafficking drugs in the United States. People who sell drugs in the U.S. do not get the death penalty. They go to court. If they're found guilty, they get some kind of sentence in prison. These people are being with no due process.
You know the difference?
Okay.
You don't know the difference, do you?
No, I don't. Tell me the difference.
People taking drugs in the United States of America are doing it on their own accord. These people are dragging that shit in here, and there's a whole lot of stuff that gets through the cracks that people don't intend to take, but they get stuck with it and they die
But they
anyway.
could have easily just detained those.
This is Bob. It is not staged. How much of this is awareness that these responses give him views? Oh no. So Chad's interesting, and it's I don't want to. I'm not going to totalize him by saying I think he's faking it. I think there's a genuineness to like what he's doing, and he thinks he can reach his mom. I do. However, I went over this before. Do y'all remember? I say y'all, Jesus. Do y'all remember this? The George Carlin AI stand-up?
Some of my specials from when I was traditionally alive, maybe you might notice a small difference in the delivery of a joke.
A few years ago, this went out on YouTube, and it was like, hey, someone trained on George Carlin's jokes, created George Carlin doing this. And it went viral. This is not the original video. The original video was taken down from the original channel. And then the people behind it got sued into the fucking ground, had to apologize for it, and then reveal, actually, it wasn't AI. It was AI voice modification.
Or the turn of a phrase here or there.
So the voice is AI trained, but the actual jokes were written by the person who put it out. Do you guys remember this? This is a great story. Chad's the person who put that out. Chad wrote a whole bunch of jokes in the style of George Carlin that are terrible. He's not a very good writer. Just saying, he's not a very good writer. But he released it because AI was his thing. He had an AI podcast, supposedly with Will Sasso, that I actually think Will Sasso thought was really AI. And all of this was part of that. After the lawsuit, and George, basically, it's really, really to go after George Carlin and do that. He's one of the gods of comedy. That basically ended Chad's friendship, I think, with Will. Or Will got deeply under fire for being part of it. Will Sasso is a phenomenal improvisational comedy actor, character actor. I think he's wonderful. I love Will Sasso. I think he's been in amazing stuff. But he quit the podcast he was doing with Chad. They had a podcast called the Dudesy Podcast. And Chad lost that income stream. And about 2 months ago, there was an episode where Mom here said, I'll be doing this. Your father doesn't want to do this. I'll keep doing this because I made that promise to you. And I know what happens and how you feel when people quit a podcast on you. So Mom doesn't want to be here. She's there out of duty to a son she doesn't want to be a part of. The dad doesn't want to be a part of this. He is financially motivated to keep it going and make it exactly what it is because he's got nothing else. He's got a podcast on The Bachelor and other shit that's insane. And then the sister, she's got a bakery, which I'm sure is doing perfectly fine, but a major component of the bakery is politics now. And she sells out her merch nationally from this show. So there's financial incentives in a lot of different ways that I think are very telling. The parents' positions, I believe, are authentic. The mom is trying to middle ground it because she knows they're horrifying, but she is very much right wing. The dad doesn't care because he is a multimillionaire after working for T. Boone Pickens and claiming to be an oil trader. If you don't know who T. Boone Pickens is, you should look it up. He's a very famous fake cowboy. And I say that because he put on all the airs of being the oil man from down in Texas. Oh, you won't believe it. I got my boots and everything and everything's good. But he said specifically, why would I drill for oil when so much of it is sitting on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange? That's a quote. So that's where Bob got his money, is through a piece of shit. So also, by the way, T. Boone Pickens and Bob's money was part of the Swift Boat campaign against John Kerry and other political activities in that way. So just imagine, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. The video I've been writing, I've had to rewrite because it's like literally the machinery of the show, I think is incredibly important for people to understand, because it isn't so much only that the parents being far right helps it work. Sure. If the mom came to Jesus, the podcast dies, except she, and I mean this, you can watch it. She doesn't believe in any of the things. Like she wants things to be nice. She's a Midwest mom. She wants things to be nice, but she will vote for Trump forever.
Everything's good. Then we went to a heart specialist. She took an echo. She did blood work. She said, "You look really good, Mr. Colchin."
The last couple of years would suggest him. So there's a thing that happens. Doug Stanhope has a joke, and I've always appreciated it because I think it tells it's a larger commentary. He says, a black friend of his said that he's like, tells me that I have no idea what racism is really like. And I said, no, you have no idea what racism is really like because I hear the shit they say when you leave the room. There's a way that things are spoken and a way that things have existed, especially in the Midwest, by the way, especially Midwest, absolutely my entire life. These views are not even close to what I would call extreme for the Midwest. They are fairly normal, and they're the kind of thing that's not said in what we would call online conversations, streamer conversations, but they're said at bars. They're said in the woods, camping out, running into people while hunting. These are the things that exist, and this is what you run into. And these are incredibly common views there. There's not as many people there as you think exist, and it's shifting, but her views are her views. That I would not take that away from her. She's not going to have it come to Jesus. And again, you'll see the mentality. It's very much the boomer self mentality. The Midwest stereotypes are accurate.
Don't need to see you back unless anything's wrong. A little edema in the legs, but that happens if he eats too much salt. See you back in a year. So those were the two big specialists. Then we have our specialist this summer for brain, for the brain things, okay? All of a sudden, there was one day he's like, I'm not able to walk here. I'm like, what? He'd been walking with his walker. Well, he went and drove the car all by himself on April 13th. I hate Friday the 13th. Drove the car, went, got the oil change, came home. From there, it just went downhill to where he could barely walk. He had to start using the walker. He couldn't get around. He was scaring me. And so one evening, he needed help getting in a chair, and he almost slid off the chair. At that point, I looked at him. He looked at me. I said, we got to get you some help. And he said he agreed to it. Okay, 911 to the hospital. So he was in a hospital setting. And, you know, they took our insurance. No worries.
So all of this, and yeah, we'll watch the whole thing. Chad goes out of his way to describe this video, and I want you to tell me how accurate this is. Mary Lou and Chad have a conversation about Bob's health and how difficult it is for Mary Lou to navigate the healthcare system under Trump. See if you think that's a nice way to put it or a fair way to put it at all. Is the dad just falling apart? Everyone is. When you turn 80, like being 80 sucks ass.
He was admitted to like a public hospital. They ran different tests. This, oh my gosh, I don't know why our family has shit stories. This doctor thought he was all clogged up.
Okay.
The big belly.
Yeah.
Okay. Thought he was clogged up. The story with this is someone came to the hospital room door with a cup that looked like Hershey syrup and said, here, he needs to drink it to get him going again. I'm over there telling him, here, drink this. He's gulped 3 big gulps down. The sister nun comes running in. Nope, nope, no, 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 give me. I go, what? She said, that's his enema.
He was drinking his enema?
He was drinking his enema. So Sister Nun
Classic.
takes that away, performs that miracle, and we got that done, and that was good. From there, he still wasn't feeling good. So that doctor was kind of wrong. From there, more swollen, more tummy stuff going on. That doctor.
I want to know what it was. That's the part for me that I'm like, wait, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Like as a thing, right? Like, how does this work? What is happening here? I don't get it.
Doctor said, let's get you to a rehab center. Maybe they can make you stronger. So from there, we're now into a rehab hospital. So he's been transported a lot now too with different.
How did it end a cup? How did he? How? Like, I'm kind of like, I find myself incredulous about this story in general. Right? Like,
no worries. He was admitted to, he was all clogged up. I don't know. The big belly.
Yeah.
Someone came to the hospital room door with a cup that looked like Hershey syrup.
That's my question. That description means that it's not his enema. I don't know if you've ever, I had a colonoscopy recently. Luckily I go out for it. If your enema comes out and it's thick and brown like Hershey's syrup, you call for last rites. You call for last right. Like, let's get the priest. Let's have a conversation, pray, because you're dead. You're already dead somehow. I don't understand. The whole story is a lie. It's not a syrup. No shit. No shit. No shit. They don't shove a thick brown liquid up your ass to clean it out. Really? A thick brown syrup? Like, I don't. This is not the part I'm stuck on, but I'm still fascinated by. We'll come back to this again because I think there's yeah. Also, if it was brown liquid, which is not what they put up your ass for an enema, and he's drinking it.
Now in the rehab hospital, the doctors are excellent. The nurses are great. Everything's going well. But it took an aide and a man that was flipping him over to help with covers and stuff to realize I heard him whisper something. And there was also a nurse in there who I'd been talking with through the day. I couldn't figure out what they were whispering. So I waited till they went out in the hallway and I asked the nurse, what were you whispering? And she said, CHF, congestive heart failure. Mm-hmm. I said, what? She said, that's his big belly. She said, that's all the swollen stuff. She said, Dr. So-and-so is still here. Let's grab him. And she said, I can't guide you what to say, but ask him that.
Like, this is the nurse should be fired. Like, this is fucking what the fuck world. What do we live in where like the nurse is like, oh, it's congestive heart failure. You should guide the doctor to this answer. Am I nuts to think that you should be fired for that? Like, if this even happened, which again, my doubts are very high that it's true.
So thank God that doctor had not left yet. It was 5:30 at night, and called him in and he said, yes, I was leaning toward that. I wanted to give him one more night. But he said, if you think that, let's just start pushing the Lasix.
It's a lie. I'm pretty sure it's all bullshit too. Like, she's making up, like it's one of those things in this generation that's doing it. She has very little idea what's happening. That's what's going on. And she remembers little bits and bobs and she pieces together the whole thing. And that's it. And she just tells the rest of it. It's an incredible fabrication.
Oh, and at the other hospital, they took Lasix away.
Mm-hmm.
He had been on Lasix for a while. And so they took him away for 5 days. And then he just started exploding.
Because Lasix is a diuretic. It pulls water out of your heart and a whole bunch of other places. It gets you to get rid of it. So you've just got to be very careful with how much water you drink.
So this doctor was cool. He said, yeah, I can do that. The next day, he started feeling better.
Mm-hmm.
He's felt better every day, but it took an aide. And there was a guy in there, I called him No Name. He wasn't even in their system yet. He wasn't even supposed to be helping in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, what's your name? He goes, I can't tell you. I said, okay, No Name. Thank you.
Anyone want to tell me how that works? Can anyone tell me, please? I want to know how that works. Can anyone tell me how that works? I want to be a No Name. I want to be in a hospital in an official capacity and be able to not tell people my name. I don't understand. It's fucking crazy. What a crazy fucking story. Okay, No Name. If I'm ever in the hospital and any of you are in the room and someone's in there and you go, hey, what's your name? And they go, I will not tell you. Call the police.
Thank you. So No Name and the aide figured it out, brought the doctor back.
That's great. That's great. A guy I don't know who walked in off the street, fucking, who isn't part of the hospital, and an aide who's not even a nurse figured it out, and I was able to bully the doctor into a response. It's fucking crazy.
And I think we're figuring this out. Each day he's gotten stronger. He's gotten better. Congestive heart failure can be, you can live with it as long as you regulate it. I kept thinking it was diabetes because he was so exhausted and tired.
But all of this is related to being type 2 diabetic for as long as he has been.
Yeah, some of it is. Yes. He's been type 2 since he's 39 years old,
Yeah.
but it's always been under control. So when I saw him getting more tired at home, I was thinking, is that his diabetes? But yet I check his monitor and it was fine. Now, all of this, we have good insurance. The part that is sad is if we didn't have the good insurance to be admitted to these places, what do you do? What do you do?
Exactly. And that is, I mean, you know, to turn this back to politics, it's like,
ready?
You're experiencing firsthand what like really needing to rely on the American medical system is like to survive. Like you're saying, what would you do? Dad would be dead. That is what we would do.
He would be dead.
If you didn't have good insurance,
Good
or
job.
the amount of financial debt, medical debt that you would go into would cripple you.
Yes.
That's your only other option.
It has opened my eyes greatly. And the level of care is like in a regular hospital. It was, well, they let him drink his damn enema. Come on.
Yeah.
You know? The girl came and said, yes, he's supposed to drink it. He was not supposed to drink it.
Yeah.
They almost let him slip through one of those lift chair things. I went out in the hall and just cried and cried. 6 people rushed in.
Yeah.
It was not the best care there. So now in the rehab hospital, we do have better care, I do believe, but here's the kicker. If you don't show progress within the first week that he can do 3 hours of physical therapy, it's all based on performance.
I'm pretty sure it was a laxative, Raz. Exactly.
On him.
Like that's the thing is like, is a laxative, and probably he ended up like he was supposed to have it. Like it's again, insane story. But the no-named man and the aide, who won't give me their names, but they came through a small door. It was only a quarter height. And on the other side, I saw Land of Fairies.
Him telling them, yes, I can do this. I think I can. And not being a, you know what? Which he's been a little cranky today with them, but not bad. Not bad. Believe me. On Thursday, they have a meeting. All of the people that have helped with him, all the doctors, all the PTs, all the OTs, and then they come up with a plan, a care plan, and the caseworker. Then they have a meeting. Then she will come back to me and tell me what they have decided. If they have decided tomorrow on Thursday that he cannot do the 3 hours, I know it's going to cry. He can't do the 3 hours. Then we don't get a stay. Then we will be going down. We will be going down to another level of care called skilled care, which is a nursing home setting or facility. And I'll have to find. I can't do this for him at home yet because he's not strong enough. So if you pray or can send us happy thoughts, we need them for tomorrow. And what this has helped me realize, politics is not the most important thing in the world.
There you go.
If you're not talking to your family over politics, go talk to them.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the line. That's the line. That's the line I was waiting for. That's the line. That's the line. These people are irredeemable in every single way. This is what irredeemable people are. This is what irredeemable people are. That's the line. That's the moment. That's the thing. That's it.
It's about family. It's about Chad and Haley helping now. It's about my golden friends surrounding me. I'm looking at mortality now for both of us. I'm navigating and I'm doing the best I can.
Yeah.
This is the hardest thing I've had to do in my life. He is a fighter and he's a tough son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe
he is a human sack of shit. Like, again, he has spent much money and a lot of time, and his entire existence has made the world a worse place.
he's going to get through this so that I can have him one more time.
You go look at the places he's worked, who he worked for, who he supported, how he helped him do things. The number of indictments that happen to be around Bob and not include Bob is amazing.
Yeah.
Our anniversary's at the end of the month, and I keep telling him, I want to celebrate another one with you.
No, Four Flames, that's exactly why it was like, oh, what's Bob? I'll watch this. And it was like a slap in the face. They're just going to read your comment and steal it. That was like getting to the end of a book, and suddenly the moral of the story is a complete 180-degree turn from where you were and the direction you were discussing. The lesson is, it's not about politics. We need to get it beyond it. Even though literally everything she's talking about is a result of her politics in her state. Oklahoma is horrifying for this. And by the way, they have a lot of money. Like, this is the other side. They have a bunch of money. Like he made a lot of money. His trading, like, you can find public stuff on a lot of these things because these guys were licensed and he wasn't able to fuck around with this. Like, you can find shit on Bob and see who he worked for and how he was paid out. And there's all these things because he was a major part of a lot of things. He didn't walk away with like $300,000. Okay.
So you need to get up and get moving.
Yeah.
He did real good today. I did sneak him one Diet Dr. Pepper. Not really sneak. The nurse said he could have it.
That shit.
Sneak him one Diet Dr. Pepper. Not really sneak. The nurse said he could have it.
That shit.
The nurse said he could
poison.
have it, Chad.
Here is, to me, and I'm going to go back to it because this is, to me, the mega mindset. The rest of it is hilarious. That other comment that was a left turn was horrifying. But the mindset is this. Boy, those stupid nurses giving him that laxative, they don't know what they're doing. I can't believe she said he should drink this. He shouldn't have. I wanted to give him a Dr. Pepper, and this nurse said it was fine, so therefore it's okay. Hey, I exist, and my impulses and my lack of knowledge make me a thing. You're agreeing with that thing, therefore you're good. That's it. That's mega. It's such a perfect example of it. It's amazing.
They don't care.
Well,
And by the way, nurse, no, I cannot imagine a nurse of anyone who's like slightly the horrifying reality of like what a diet soda would do to a diabetic who's actively taking. Like, it's an insane statement. They're like, yeah, you can have a Diet Dr. Pepper. Fucking wild.
he can
poison.
have one, she said, and then they're
That's
doing
not true.
fluids.
It's all
Fuck.
I'm
Well,
the
look,
enabler. I'm sorry. I've turned into
I
the
know
enabler.
that this is fucking horrible, and me and Haley are trying the best we can to help you out from afar. We're going to be there next week to hopefully,
yeah. The nurses were like, yeah, give him a Dr. Pepper. Don't really want to keep him around. I'm Puerto Rican and he keeps telling me I'm stealing his wallet. And the Somali nurse, he said he wanted her to die in fire.
get our
Diet soda is one of the worst things you can give to people, just in general. Diet soda in general. I'll avoid any stories I'm aware of certain people with, but if you have a kidney stone, the first thing they ask is how much diet soda you drink because it's kind of really bad for you. Diet soda is fucking crazy to give to someone who's in the hospital in a rehab center who's like, she's like, oh, well, if he doesn't make it through the next few days and he can't do work, but let me give him a fucking salty shit, fake sugary fucking syrupy drink that certainly won't help that. It's fucking crazy. She'll rage at the healthcare workers for their failures and then sneak their loved ones stuff. Exactly. It's wild.
Hands dirty in this. See what's going on. Go up to that facility and everything.
He'll get back on this podcast. It may not be for a while because they're going to have
I don't
to
know
keep
about
him
that.
a while. What do you mean?
You think he's going to come back
What?
on here and yell at us?
Yeah, he'll be back. Not for a
It's everything in it, baby. Because one of the things that caffeine does is it's a weird diuretic, but it's also, again, if you're having heart trouble, caffeine should not be on the top of your list. But the thing is, let's be very specific. And I say this as not a doctor, but it happens to be something I'm very familiar with in the last few weeks, this specific conversation. If you're on Lasix or other elements of medicine that are intended to make sure that your heart and lungs have liquid pulled out of them, what ends up happening is they need to monitor very carefully how much liquid is going into you and coming out. So, like, for example, if you're someone with congestive heart failure like this, I had one of the more important people in my life who got my job and my career in video games, passed away about a year and a half, 2 years ago, from congestive heart failure. And she was a wonderful human being. But the thing that happens is the liquid that goes in, if you don't watch it, you can begin gaining water weight and you won't notice. It's like 2 pounds a day. But over a few days, you'll actually start to realize, oh shit, I need to go back to the doctor. If you take caffeine, if you take diet soda, especially in a rehab center, that fucks with that number. That fucks with that setup a lot. A lot. Diet soda is really awful for all of these things.
For a while. He'll be back
Okay.
on the podcast.
We'll see.
I truly believe it.
Yeah. I know you're
And
going
I'll
through.
be honest, with politics, I've turned on the TV, but I'm sitting here like a zombie.
Yeah.
The only thing I heard.
Malachi. Why didn't that tip go off? By the way, Malachi, thank you for the $10. What authors or books should I read if I want to understand the madness of capitalism and neoliberalism? Is David Harvey good? Don't say AO. I would never actually reply to that with Anti-Oedipus because that's kind of a cruel thing. It's like saying, hey, I want to understand how the universe works. Read Hegel. Like it's a little over the line. The first response in Voxy hits it is going to be the new translation of Capital. I think the new translation of Capital Volume 1 is exceptional. And I think they did an amazing job with it, but it is just baseline. Like it is just sort of, here's how this works. Here's the critiques. Someone asked about anarchist work, like anarchist theory. I don't believe in anarchist theory as like a thing. I don't think it really works. In my experience, the thing that makes the best anarchists is actually history books. So I would probably say Braudel. And I'll post this. We have the PDFs in there. One moment. Okay. Okay. You don't need to literally have these hardcovers. Okay. Let's start with that. This is Braudel. The Structures of Everyday Life, Civilization and Capitalism, 15th to 18th Century. I think nothing does better than reading through this and going, because it's a phenomenal history of how the world sort of began to shift around the 1500s to the industrialization of what turned into Marx and everything else. These pants, are you ready? I don't own any Streamer merch except for I own these pants because I live out. I'll get to it. I'll get to the pants in a moment. Braudel, Structures of Everyday Life, Wheels of Commerce, and then ending with Perspective of the World. How life and meaning of life changed for humanity preceding Marx is basically Braudel's through point in all of these. These are not small books, but they do something more than I think traditional theory does. There is a lot of theory you can read after these. After these, I think there's a lot of theory. But the thing that Braudel does that's really fascinating is he tells very literally a story of how capitalism came to exist. And in order to be able to make real critiques of the world and to be able to engage in real discussions with people, you need to be able to do something that I think, I'll talk to David Graeber specifically, that I think David Graeber failed. And it is to understand history as it was lived, not as an idealized version from our position today. Okay? And these books will give you that foundation of history. And just through learning about things, you will begin to understand how meaning and life has shifted for humanity in just the last 400 or 500 years. It's a stunning set of books. If you're in the mood for history. One moment. I'm looking at my other books. One moment. If you're looking for something more contemporary, let me grab a couple. Let's go over a couple for this. Yeah, these are probably pretty good. These are probably going to be pretty good. I've got a couple random recommendations. Is David Graeber good? Yes. I'll just say, by the way, Debt, Bullshit Jobs, his shorter goods they're pretty great. I would recommend them generally speaking. Generally speaking. I would not recommend his last book that is posthumously published. It is not good. But a little bit of history, a little bit of other things. Dimmock's book, The Origin of Capitalism in England, 1400 to 1600, kind of around the time of this guy. It's a different history of it, but it's very particular to what happened in England. If you happen to be someone who has spent a good amount of time in England, or even just generally live in Great Britain, it's probably a better place to start because they'll have more cultural touch points. If you want to understand specifically right now, and I'm going to take Malachi, I'm going to take your specific claim and ask, The Madness of Capitalism and Neoliberalism, there are 2 books. These 2 are the best at it. First is The Deadly Life of Logistics. This is the most depressing book about the modern economy I've ever read. This is, if you want to feel hopeless, this does it. And not a little bit. Like, this isn't like, this is bad. This is like, I wrote a short story after this. I haven't put it anywhere about, I changed logistics to being like a Lovecraftian eldritch horror because it's the only way I could mentally handle it. Wait, I'm randomly watching the podcast. Your parents' family mirror imaging your family. Yes, Heather. It's just so happens that 2 weeks ago, Bob ended up in a fucking hospital and then transferred to a second hospital where he had a better time. And it turns out he's got heart issues and he's on lace. It's been an issue for me seeing this, but yes. Deadly Life of Logistics. To read the back. In Deadly Life of Logistics, Deborah Cohen traces the art and science of logistics over the past 60 years, from the battlefield to the boardroom and back again, focusing on choke points like national borders, zones of piracy, blockades, and cities. She tracks contemporary efforts to keep goods circulating and brings to light the collective violence these efforts produce. Hey, Gil, well, thank you very much for, let me see. Sweet. Pesos. Sweet. Oh, it's very kind of you. I want to make sure I always get it right. Conversion rates in the US dollar's fucked. Thank you very kindly for the $15. It means a lot. Thank you very much. And then the other one, and it's specifically on the neoliberal hellscape we live in right now, is by probably, I'm going to say, one of my favorite modern theorists about economics and that kind of thing. It's Wendy Brown's Undoing the Demos. If you don't know who Wendy Brown is, shame. You should. Neoliberal rationality, ubiquitous today in statecraft and the workplace, jurisprudence, education, and culture, remakes everything and everyone in the image of Homo economicus. What happens when this rationality transposes the constituent elements of democracy into an economic register? In vivid detail, Wendy Brown explains how democracy itself is imperiled. The demos disintegrate into bits of human capital. Concerns with justice cede to mandates of growth, credit ratings, investment climates. Liberty submits to the imperative of human capital sovereignty. It's really a good book. Really good. Really good book. Those would be my two top picks. If I had to, those would be my two top picks of modern. And again, the big guys here, if you want, and you can find the PDFs, you can also find these. I found these really cheap. I was stunned. The hardcovers in as good a condition as it was like $17 in a used bookstore. Like the Braudel was one of those, the series, a fuck ton of people in America bought it and literally just had it sit on a shelf because it was a big talking point when it came out. Do any of those books explore the use of central planning to slay the beast of logistics? Deadly Life of Logistics is condemnatory of central planning. Well, explanatory of it, but it doesn't help. Wendy Brown also writes on Nietzsche and agonism. I had no idea. She's written other works. I should make sure that everyone finds those. And boy, it would be a shame if people kept saying all of the wonderful things Wendy Brown has done and the amazing theories she's written. Unrelated, by the way. So the pants. I live outside of Portland. I jokingly call it, like, it's easier to say Portland, but it's like, no one knows if I say Vancouver, Washington. People go, oh, Vancouver. They think Canada, but it's Trump country. We're in sort of Trumpy country. So, I was online and an ad came across. I don't ever have ads, but an ad came across for merch from the streamer. And there it was, these fucking perfect camo pants and a camo hoodie. And it had orange writing on it. I love the look. I've always loved the look. So I was like, well, what the fuck? I go 50% off. Like there's like 10 left. Buy my size. I get them home. It's great. John Brown Hunting Club, which is a fucking great joke. And it says John Brown Hunting Club on the hoodie. And it's great. Comfy, great. It's Hassan merch. I'm wearing Hassan merch. It's Hassan merch. It's Hassan merch. It's the way it works. It's good merch. I don't give a fuck. John Brown Hunting Club. I'll fucking take that. I think my favorite is the people who are clearly, ooh, Hassan, fuck that. There are fewer enjoyable moments than people who like see him go, hey, where are you? Where's the John Brown Hunting Club meet? And I go, oh, just around. It always makes me smile. Saw me wearing that in the video on Axiomatics. Yeah. I've had them for a while. Had them for a while. But it's always great. And then once in a while, I get to actually tell a person, yeah, it's John Brown, killed a bunch, hunted slave owners. Like,
I saw JD Vance was in my hometown and I didn't get to see him. I guess he flew into OKC for a fundraiser. And then I heard this morning Donald Trump brought back the fitness testing for kids, which I thought was cool because I used to do that when I was a teacher. Mm-hmm. Like they'd run a mile, they'd have to do a shuttle run and sit-ups. Yeah. And I think during the Obama era, they had it, but he changed it up or something. So now
just fucking, this is why this podcast is garbage. She just spews lies. And he's like, because he's too uneducated to do anything else. He's not a very smart person, and he's very much not politically engaged in a meaningful sense.
Trump's brought it back. I thought that was pretty cool.
He is like, I don't fault using AI. I use AI. I put my notes in it often to organize it. You'll see them. I'll rewrite my descriptions, and then I'll put all my sources in. You'll see it in the YouTube videos. Just my YouTube descriptions with sources I have formatted by AI because I can't be fucked to do it. I can't be fucked to put in citations in the right way and the right setup. I don't care. Fucking hate me for using AI for that. He, I think, literally just asks it questions and reads what it says.
That's the 2 political things I've heard in a week. I don't know anything about anything else.
Yeah. But see,
that's my focus.
Those are the 2 political things she's done in a week. After talking about the healthcare system and utilizing it and bitching about it and how expensive it is and how fucked it is and how useless it is. Am I misremembering? Is my opinion of this channel changed? It has been a journey. So reason knows, I think I will admit it's been a journey. I really, see, if you scroll up, you'll see Sprite. That's Heather. Say hello. Give Heather love. I began watching it because, and my brother did too, because it's my family. Not like, oh, it's kind of that. It's like, no, I literally can't have conversations with my parents about politics in any capacity because they are absolutely gone in that mega online friend said this garbage that is disconnected from anything meaningful. I've had conversations very bluntly and shortly in the last year or 2 about the Middle East, where I've told them my experience living there for multiple months. And I was told I was wrong and that my dad knows better. They've not traveled outside of Colorado meaningfully. That MAGA parenting and that relationship is incredibly difficult because I believe politics are in everything. I don't think you can get away with it. I think that's the thing. So they're just freaking out. Just apparently it's exactly your family. How are they doing this? It's a trip, Heather. And it's my mom and my dad, and my dad's very hardline. He's not as bad as Bob. Bob is a horrifying person. And my mom's not like Mary, they're much worse, but also Chad's a big piece of shit. And I'm fortunately not that, and neither is my brother. I've never disgracefully used the image of one of the greatest comedians of all time to try to advance my own career via technology I don't understand. Fuck Chad. He does his main podcast is about The Bachelor. What a useful human. It's there are differences, but the dynamic is so fucking weird and identical. My brother lives in Texas. I live West Coast. It's the dynamic is incredibly similar. And it's crazy. And then lo and behold, Bob apparently went to the hospital literally the same week as my dad for heart issues with the same medicine and everything. So it's God damn it. At least they aren't mega. I can't have these conversations. There's questions the problem of having mega family members is that you can't ask questions or talk about things, or you don't. I should say I don't. And I think I'm not alone in this because you don't want to hear the answer. Do you want to have a conversation and find out that actually, I don't think anyone in Palestine is a human? I don't want to know. I don't want to know how much you middle ground that either. Because it's not going to be, no, absolutely. It's horrifying. Children are dying. That should be completely stopped in every way. It's not going to be clean. It's going to be just enough to make you go, I don't want to, I wish I hadn't asked. It's never worth it. It's never worth it.
This has been different.
Yes, and that is interesting too. That when you are faced with some kind of real life shit, you stop watching Newsmax. You stop looking at Instagram as much, and it.
See, and Chad fails because he doesn't understand. Hey, Yeah, you're not watching that garbage. You're seeing the actual effects of the policies of the Republican Party you voted for in a state controlled by Republicans that is basically dismantled its internal healthcare system, and you're seeing the result of that. And you, who have money, are still fucked. And you are seeing the outcome of your support for this group. He doesn't mention that. He doesn't even mention that. Because this podcast, and this is why I'm doing the video on the mechanics of this, because the mechanics of this at best will never be anything more than the same one I have, which is I kind of don't want to know some things, and I kind of don't want to have certain conversations, and I'd rather just sort of be able to smile around people that I have some good memories with, or I don't want to like.
Breaks you out of that cycle, right?
It did. Yeah, it did.
So maybe it's a good time to take a break from all of it.
And I did see something about, I saw Erica Kirk in a dark suit with a dark hat and some kind of weird
She did
clothes.
a very weird podcast thing, and people are making fun of it. There's been a lot going on. Obviously, there's the Iran war. Today, they're saying that they may have a kind of a pre-agreement, like a memo that they're both going to sign to say we will do a ceasefire and give ourselves 30 days or something. I forget what the time frame was to like come to a real agreement and end this war. But no, I just want to say that I know you're going through a really difficult time, and me and Haley are going to do the best we can to support you through all this and to support Dad the best that we can and stuff.
He'll get better. I promise you. He's tough. He'll be back on here yelling at you very soon, I hope. Might take
I know.
long.
I can't believe I'm like, yep, I hope he'll come call me a stupid communist again. I can't believe that I'm wishing for that. It's absurd to say. But yeah, it's, this definitely puts a lot of stuff in perspective.
I've been tired since Peppermint. The Peppermint show, he was yelling at me in the background to do stuff. And I have been doing stuff for him for a while.
It's so funny. He's been yelling at me. Isn't it fun? He yells at me.
Because he physically can't. But now that I know he's tucked away in a good place and he'll get stronger and better. Mm-hmm. But it did open my eyes for the poor people that don't have insurance.
Yeah.
They would not take us in this rehab place unless we had the insurance.
Of course.
Because they know that it's paid for, and they say, okay, come on in.
But even with the insurance, you fucking stilt-headed butt. What the fuck is wrong with you? Even in that place, you've said they're going to kick us out in 6 or 7 days. Come the fuck on.
Yeah. I totally agree. I mean, when I was going through cancer, that was my first real, you're in a medical system now. I've obviously, I had an ACL replacement where you get one surgery. I've gone to the doctor. I've had some sports related injuries and stuff that I've had to do some things for. But cancer was the first time where it was you're now going to some medical facility every day to receive this treatment. You're going through surgeries. You're going through checkups. You've got 5 different doctors that you have to see on an almost daily basis.
Hey, that shitty hospital is awful for poor people to go to. It's a good thing we have this hospital that made me cry and fall apart multiple times on this podcast.
That was the first time that I was in anything like that. And it was extremely eye-opening to me to see how that kind of medical system works, where the people in it have to go there every day.
It's a good line, Gil. No one is blind as the one who refuses to see. Better line, Upton Sinclair. Never assume a man can understand something if his paycheck depends on him not understanding it.
Okay. And to me, it just felt like a conveyor belt. I had some decent doctors and everything, but I also had some very bad ones who misdiagnosed initially.
Yeah.
He had cancer. He has a cancer.
Cancer in my face as cystic acne.
Yes.
So it was just what the fuck is going on here? And then the churn rate is just get as many people as you can in that fucking MRI machine or the radiation machine or whatever. You're just backed up. As soon as somebody gets done with their radiation treatment, 5 minutes to fucking.
I bet you it was with Kaiser.
Change the little sheet that they put on.
Yeah, Kaiser in California is literally the only time I've ever experienced the factory level medical experience. Kaiser's fucking crazy. Like, go here, stand in line here, stand in line here, go from there, and it's weird as shit.
On the table, and then you're in there. And so I can only assume that, like,
and the nurse.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the nurses are overstaffed in the bigger hospital we first went to.
Yeah,
they weren't nice. They weren't nice.
Understaffed.
You got, little kindness here. I asked one question.
Kaiser, sorry, I know we were talking about German stuff earlier. Kaiser, with a K, as you spelled it, is a health insurance program in California. There's a handful. Insurance in the U.S. is incredibly complicated. I'm probably going to get this wrong because this was in California in 2008 through like 2014. But then I switched to Blue Cross Blue Shield, which is also one of the California insurance companies, and Obamacare, which changed all this. But Kaiser was like the cheap, famous one at the time. And they had these huge buildings, and it was the first time I ever used Kafka. I will never forget. It's the first time I ever used Kafka-esque in reference to something unironically.
They called me Missy. Just a minute. Another lady said, I have 4 more patients in front of you.
Right.
Yeah.
But do you remember when Trump, with the big, beautiful bill and all the shit that he was doing, was taking funding away from hospitals so that a bunch of hospitals have had to close over the past year and a half or whatever it's been since he's been in office. And as a result.
So all these people that are.
What?
Yeah. All the people taking care of us have pressure on them for their jobs now.
Of course.
It's not. Yeah.
The whole system is fucked.
God dang it. I know. Okay.
You done? Is that it?
I'm done. That was one of my golden friends calling me.
Okay. Well, thank you for doing this, Mom. I do love you. I love Dad. Me and Haley are going to be there next week to help you as best we can, get through as much as we can while we're there. And
I know.
Thank you for doing this podcast. I know this is not easy stuff to talk about, but as much as this show is about politics.
She does it out of dependence on Chad and obligation to not be the person who quit the podcast like Will Sasso did on him because it destroyed Chad. So imagine knowing this, he knows this, and making your mom come on here and have this conversation. Imagine that. Imagine fucking that.
Politics. It's also about our family. And this is it's a huge kind of event that is going on in our family right now. So I appreciate you coming on here talking about it. And I too hope Dad will be back here calling me a communist as soon as possible.
He will. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. He's tough.
All right. Well, we will be back.
Okay.
This is a short episode to just kind of give an update. And we'll be back on Sunday. Do you believe you'll be on that episode?
Possible, yes. I think I can. We'll
play it by
work
ear
around the time, but yeah.
Yeah, it'll at least be me and Haley's out of town.
Haley's out, so it's me.
You got to do, or Dad.
Yeah.
You can take your phone in there, and we'll get him. We'll get him as he's drinking his.
Just don't do an episode. Have another guest. Do it yourself. Right? You can see the dynamic.
He can be on the Sunday show.
He's been good today. Today was a good report. So he was good. Good boy.
All right.
Okay. Love you.
Well, thank you, everybody. I love you too, Mom. Thanks, everybody, for.
She might agree all he wants. She doesn't agree with anything he's saying. She's agreeing for politeness. She said this multiple times in the show. She goes out of her way to say this. She agrees. She's agreeable. That's what she does. She's a Midwest woman of that era. She's agreeable. That's what they do. It's her entire thing. I think we're going to be finishing out now. It's been a few hours for me. Tomorrow, I have another piece coming. Stoicism. It's on Gladiator. Then Joe Rogan. This weekend, I'm posting up Sundays in my conversation on Ukraine because some people asked for it. So what the fuck? Next week is more stoicism. So please join us for all of those. But for right now, I'm going to send you to one particular place with someone who I love.
He is a good person because he is saying all the good things as opposed to a bad person. And he's making it clear who the bad guys are. And so he's
doing Anarch. I'm going to send you all over to give some love to Jordy. Please give love to Jordy, all of you. All of you give love to Jordy. Do you understand that? You've got to give love to Jordy immediately. Join me live for any of my readings, discord.gg/DGQC, or support me. Supporting me is great. Head over to patreon.com/DGQC, or of course you can join the Street Elements League. Drop me a thing, drop a like, subscription, any of those things. I don't give a fuck. But for right now, you're going to go over to Jordy and you're going to give him all the love in the world. And I'll see you all soon enough.